Welcome to Truro Town Council for Monday, July 7th, 2025. I would like to begin with a land acknowledgement. I, Kathy J. Henton, Mayor for the Town of Truro, acknowledge we are Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral traditional lands of the Mi'kmaq people. We acknowledge the peace and friendship treaties and recognize we are all treaty people. We recognize African Nova Scotians are a distinct people whose histories, legacies, and contributions have enriched the part of Mi'kma'ki known as Nova Scotia of over 400 years. We recognize the Acadians who lived in harmony with the Mi'kmaq, whose communities across the province are a living testament to the fortitude of their ancestors who survived the Grand Arrangement. Today, as both Indigenous and non-Indigenous people, we commit to seek harmonious and mutually beneficial relationships. We give thanks to the elders and knowledge keepers. Now we're going to enter into a public hearing this afternoon. This is a public hearing for Monday, July the 7th, 2025, for 199 Willow Street, PID number 2015-2203. This is a development application agreement. Has this been advertised, Mr. Dolder?
Yes, Madam Mayor, it has.
And do we have any correspondence?
We do have reports that came out of the Truro Planning Advisory Committee in previous meetings, and they recommended to council that the development application by Meach Holdings be approved by council after a public hearing process.
Thank you. We're going to start with a report from the Planning Department and then an opportunity for council to ask questions and anyone in the chamber who may want to ask questions. Mr. Meach is here for 199 Willow Street. He's already at the table. And so I just would ask Carla Connolly, who Mr. Fox, our director, is not here today, and she's going to be presenting. So Ms. Connolly, if you'd like to take it away.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. All right. Jay, are you able to hear me? So we're having some technical difficulties, which we're trying to work through here to get my presentation up to the desk. Does the council see staff's presentation? No.
No.
I may need to relocate.
Okay. I see them in there working at something, so just be patient. What's that? Yeah.
Not during hearing.
Yeah. No, later, yeah. Go. Second.
Doesn't work? Okay.
Okay.
Can you do it from there?
Can you? Okay.
Ron, if you could just
Ron, maybe just sit in
indulge.
there. Yeah,
She's going to try to do it from
it's going to sit there, yeah,
Sometimes
just
it
move.
works there.
Yeah.
You know what, we're flexible around here, so no big deal.
Okay.
Something changed.
Yeah, some. Jay, can we run it? Can we run it from the desk there? Can we? Jay, can we run it from there?
I can't switch to anything right now. Yes, from there might work.
Okay.
Okay.
So do you have it on? Technology is wonderful when it works.
Yes, that's right. I will say Carla's always very calm under pressure. Yes.
Council wants to bear with me, I can get a USB stick and we'll stick it directly into the.
Yep.
We'll do it old school,
Yep.
or if, I don't know what the alternative would be. I mean, you have it in your council packages, you don't have the presentation though, unfortunately, but
Well, yeah.
Yeah, or if you have one.
Can we do a little other business while we're waiting?
Well, we really can't because we're in a hearing and we can't, we'd have to actually adjourn the hearing and then go into the public meeting, which would be not, probably just as disruptive. So we can take a momentary pause, Madam Mayor, in the,
I
in the
won't
meeting
break, I won't
until-
break into song, even though it's very tempting. I will not do that. We'll just wait for the presentation to start. Thank you, Ms. Conley. Thank you, Mr. Meach, for your patience. Here it comes, okay. There we go.
this never happened when we had plastic overheads.
Yeah.
Overhead projector.
Yeah.
It's like the backup camera in my truck.
Yeah.
Looks like it wants to. She's got to drive.
This is teamwork at its best, everybody trying to get this working, so. Something may be happening now.
Just went off.
They're all going again.
Okay, so maybe do we need the visual? Can we
No,
just,
we're
why don't
gonna-
we just move forward and then we'll just, and the council's seen the package, unfortunately for our viewing audience.
Yeah.
In the hundreds of thousands, they're not gonna be able to see it. But why don't we just move forward and take it from there, Ms. Conley?
So what we can do, Madam Mayor, is, obviously council has it.
Yes.
We'll post the presentation on the website if anybody would
Perfect.
like to consult it after.
So if you want to proceed, Ms. Conley, we'll go from there.
So as mentioned, this is a development agreement amendment application. The applicant who is here today has requested that their existing development agreement be changed slightly or amended, to remove the existing Schedule B drawings, which are the elevation drawings that show the 14-unit former institutional building, which is now residential, shows it with a flat roof. They would like the option to have a peaked or gabled roof instead of that flat roof. So in order to do so, unfortunately, the development agreement must be amended to accommodate the new elevation drawings. Subject site is 199 Willow Street. Lands are approximately 1.33 acres in area. It has access to both Willow Street and Callback Street via an access right-of-way easement. So that road that looks like a street is not actually a street, but the developer has an access agreement over it. Lands, as I mentioned, are currently subject to a registered development agreement that limits and restricts the development on the site. So the lands are also within the regional service policy area, and multiple unit residential development proposals with more than 18 dwelling units shall be considered by development agreement. And they're also zoned regional service zone. I have a few pictures which you will not be able to see, but we're all, I feel, familiar with the site. You don't really have a good view of it from Willow Street, but when you walk up the driveway, you see the former institutional building that was part of the old hospital. You get a good sense of what that parking area looks like, and you can also travel over that street easement, and you can see the subject building through the existing 3 6-unit buildings that are there. The application has already gone to the Planning Advisory Committee twice. We are now here in step 3 of the 4-step standard process for development agreement review. The finalized concept has been provided. You unfortunately are not able to see the new renderings, which show new cladding to the building as well as that peaked gabled roof versus the flat roof. So essentially, as I mentioned, you can't see the drawings, but the developer has requested to replace the existing Schedule B drawings, which were attached to and form part of the registered agreement, and they're going to change those or replace them with drawings that show the pitched roof, as mentioned. So the existing development agreement allows for amendments as per section 4.3, where it says substantial matters shall relate to any matter not identified as insubstantial in this part. The agreement may be amended in order to provide for substantial matters, which this one is, according to the Municipal Government Act. And then the Municipal Government Act allows council to amend a development agreement by policy, and there is a policy within the town's existing municipal planning strategy. Planning staff have reviewed the proposal based on the applicable policies that are found in the town's planning documents. Areas of potential issue or consideration that have been reviewed include building height and visual impact and compatibility. The existing height is fairly low at approximately 21 feet. The roof change is expected to increase the total height approximately, bringing it to about 28 feet at the most, as expected. And the as of right height limit within that regional service zone is actually 86 feet. So staff do not anticipate any issues related to height. Visual impact and compatibility, there are no negative visual impacts expected. The proposed pitch roof is expected to improve the residential look of the building, and there is no proposed change to the residential use. Therefore, no compatibility issues are anticipated or expected. Other departments within the town have reviewed it. No concerns were noted. 0 responses have been supplied as part of this survey. And the updated information was always supplied on the town's website, and the survey was available, as well as a direct mail out was sent to 36 property owners within 150 meters of the subject site.
Yeah, it is
It's just
now.
up.
Oh, there we go. All right. Okay, so I have to switch. Let's move through. Here we go. Here's the pictures that you guys missed before. So that council missed seeing. Here we see the pitched roof, that these will be part of the new Schedule B elevation drawings. Here we see the existing building, and the top 2 renderings show before and after. Another version of that from the side. Again, we'll just kind of flip through to where I was. There's the height analysis, the visual impact compatibility, no concerns noted. And here we are for next steps at the end. So now it will, based on council's review or decision, then the appeal process will begin. If council agrees to enter into or permit the amendment, then the agreement will be amended and permits will be issued. The staff's recommendation is that council approve the application by Meach Holdings to amend the existing agreement, which applies to 199 Willow Street, by replacing the attached Schedule B elevation drawings. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Conley. Thank you very much. Council, are there any questions for Ms. Conley right now? Wow, seeing none. Oh, wait, Councilor Graham?
Is now an appropriate time for question of the developer?
Yeah, after, if there's no further questions for Ms. Conley, then we'll ask Mr. Meach to come forward. So seeing none for Ms. Conley, we'll now make way for Mr. Meach to come to the table. Just leave the light on there. It's on there for you, Mr. Meach. Councilor Graham, you have a question for the developer?
Yes, and it doesn't necessarily pertain to this application at all. It pertains to, and we can discuss offline if you would prefer, but I listened to an interesting newscast last night talking about developments in Halifax, and that landlords are seeing it's becoming increasingly challenging to fill their spots. I know you own a lot of properties in Truro area. Are you seeing a change yet in occupancy or difficulty attracting tenants?
Yes. Yeah, you're starting to see it slow down. Little longer to rent apartments, and I think that's, at this point in time, I think with what's going up, you're definitely going to see a little bit of a slowdown, and rents coming down also.
So what is your occupancy rate across? Do you know? If not, it doesn't.
depends on the time of year and stuff, but, it's not a very concerning at this point, that's for sure, but, to give you exact, I couldn't give
No.
an exact at this rate.
I'm probably catching you off guard, and again, it doesn't pertain to this application,
Yeah.
but I was curious what the trends are
Yeah.
in our own community based on that
Yeah.
newscast
For
I
sure.
saw.
I think people also, incentives, I think you'll see them just around the corner, offering 2 months rent, maybe 3, to get someone in there.
Yeah,
You'll
it's,
start seeing that, and, maybe not here as much as in city, but I think in the next couple of years, you'll definitely see that. Yeah,
thanks for your feedback.
yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Graham? Thank you. Counselor McGrath?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Meach. Just one real quick question, 30 seconds or less, if you'll humor me. Why? Why the gabled roof? Just, I assume maybe it was for solar purposes, but the building appears to run north-south, so.
No, it just would rather put the roof on instead of going with the flat roof in regards to some of the issues that you, how do I say, some of the issues that come up with the drainage and stuff off the roof. So it's just an easier, do it once and just a matter of shingling it.
Okay, I have no problem with approving the application. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Counselor McGrath. Counselor Pryor?
Mr. Meach, what is this? I see there, you're changing the siding. What are you changing it to?
Either a vertical siding, sort of, it would be kind of more of a little bit of more of a modern look, sort of.
Like a vinyl or a wood or?
It would be a vinyl, yes, yeah. Just that the bricks are sort of an outdated color.
Okay, thank you.
Deputy Mayor Thomas?
Yeah, I had a lot of questions, not that many, but a few questions, and they were all satisfied at the Planning Advisory Committee, so I don't have any in-depth questions, and I don't want to see this. My request from you, I'm not interested in seeing it written within the agreement. I'm familiar with a few of your properties, Mr. Meach, and you do a very good job in landscaping and keeping your properties up. This one's a little unusual in the sense that it was a commercial property, and so when you drive onto the property, it still has kind of a commercial feel to it and look to it,
Yes.
Maybe more pavement than a residential place would have, relative to access, et cetera. So landscaping, I know it's probably an issue for you, but I'm just wondering, are you going to invest any in some landscaping? Because it would help it look more residential.
Yes, the issue is that we don't own all the land.
Okay.
The driveway in is owned by the province. The exit is owned, both entrances or exits are owned by the province.
Okay.
They're not our property, so we actually are landlocked there. So we are, right at this point, talking to the province in regards to trying to get a little bit more land so we can actually put some landscaping and maybe fix up. As you see, the road is coming off of
Yeah.
Willow Street is demanding.
Yeah.
So that's what
Right.
we're sort of would like to do. Yes.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Counselor Talbot?
Yes, I just want to say I support the change. I think it's a positive change, so I have no problem putting my support forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor, is there any further questions for developer, Mr. Meach? Okay. Seeing none, I'll ask if there's anyone in the gallery who has any questions. Okay. All right, I'm going to say 3 times, and then I'm going to close this hearing. Is there any further questions for developer Meach? My second ask. Any further questions? My third and final ask. I now declare this hearing for 199 Willow Street is closed. Thank you, Mr. Meach.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Item 2 on the agenda for our public hearing is 199 West Prince Street amendments. Has this been advertised, Mr. Dolter?
Yes, Madam Mayor, it has, and there were 2 public information sessions as well, held on April 16th, and from 2 to 3, and then again at from 6 to 7 p.m.
Okay.
And two locations. So again, there was community participation throughout.
Thank you. So once again, we're going to start with a report from the Planning Department, and then an opportunity for council to ask questions. They always calm under pressure. Ms. Carla Connolly is going to take it away. So Ms. Connolly, take it away.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yeah.
Control.
No.
Thank you. As you mentioned, this is a public hearing for the community plan amendments, specifically for the West Prince Street neighborhood. The West Prince Street neighborhood, or the island as it's referred to, is one of the 3 historic African Nova Scotian neighborhoods within the town of Truro, and the only one of the 3 to remain largely intact. Today, the island is home to a large number of people of African descent, mainly of whom are descendants of the original settlers. The island is a thriving and cohesive neighborhood with young families and a strong sense of community rooted in cultural identity. So here we see a context map for the proposed amendments. The historic boundaries of the island neighborhood plus the abutting lands are shown within that black outline. This is the area that is proposed to be part of the proposed West Prince Street amendments. Staff have reviewed the historical records and worked with Nevin Jackson, a local expert on the history of the island, and determined that the neighborhood would have, at one time, extended east along Prince Street to Clark Street. So Clark Street is where my mouse is moving there. The town recently considered a development application for a 5-story, 52-unit residential building on Juniper Street, and the proposal, which abuts the island, clearly demonstrated that the town's current policies and regulations are insufficient to provide adequate protections for the neighborhood. This proposal also demonstrated that the town's planning policies, regulations, and procedures are not properly aligned with the town's community goals related to inclusion and engagement. So at their January meeting, council directed staff to review the town's planning policies and regulations and prepare amendments to the planning documents to address these concerns. Council also requested that a neighborhood advisory committee be established to review planning applications in and around the island. These changes require amendments to the town's municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw. Council will also need to adopt a policy to establish the new West Prince Street Neighborhood Advisory Committee. So the process and what this looks like to amend the municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw, which are the planning documents, is the same as it would be to adopt a new plan. So we have the initial review by the Planning Advisory Committee. That was held back on March 31st. We have a public information meeting or meetings. We had 2, both of which were held on April 16th. And then we have a final recommendation by Planning Advisory Committee, which was held on May 26th, and the public hearing by council, which is where we are today. So recommended amendments. Here we see an excerpt from the town's existing municipal planning strategy policy area map. So this map forms part of the document, and we see what that looks like today, which it's largely the West Prince Street neighborhood is general residential, that orange color, and the regional service is the purple. The proposed amendment would change that to have the urban corridor policy area, which is the pink, extend west from Gulf Street, and it would extend into the current residential area on West Prince Street, which is south of the golf course, north of the Argus Drive baseball field, and the drainage ditch that runs from Kiwanis Pond. So essentially all of these areas where, I'll flip back maybe so you can see. So you see it's all purple, and then it changes to pink. So that pink has replaced the purple where it is south of the drainage ditch. These lands also include some residential and commercial uses such as the Chow family, Truro Toyota, the auto sales, Fletcher's, the Cat Shack, and the old Kingston aluminum buildings, which are very near the West Prince Street neighborhood. And it also includes now the residential uses at 343 and 345 Prince Street, which is the intersection of Gulf and Prince Street. So the amendments essentially are to Chapter 4 within the municipal planning strategy, which update the description of that policy area, the urban corridor policy areas. So now it would include lands in the vicinity of Juniper and Prince Streets. It would also include a policy addition to support the additional planning protections for the West Prince Street area and the creation of the West Prince Street Advisory Committee. So here we see what the change of the land use bylaw would look like. So the land use bylaw is a separate document, as we know, but it looks very similar. The West Prince Street neighborhood has that general residential orange zoning where the lands that were formerly or currently are within the regional service policy area are also zoned regional service, except where they are on Gulf Street and they have that urban corridor zoning. So the recommended amendments, the changes to that would be to remove them from the regional service zone, apply the urban corridor zone, which includes a portion of the properties in that West Prince Street area. It includes just the properties that are vacant or immediately abut the general residential zoned properties in the island neighborhood, while other properties would remain zoned regional service district. So these urban corridor abut the general residentially zoned properties, it's suggested that they would remain urban corridor. Meanwhile, the existing regional service purple zoned properties would remain as such. This would ensure that all existing businesses remain legal uses and would not become non-conforming uses. It would also rezone the Argus Drive ball fields to the north of the site here. It would be rezoned from regional service to parks and open space. So essentially, amendments to Chapter 2, Section 2.5 of the Land Use Bylaw would include a provision for the establishment of the West Prince Street Advisory Committee. Amendments to Chapter 9 would include a new map to show that West Prince Street area. It would also limit the as-of-right development height within the West Prince Street area and prohibit intensive or potentially incompatible land uses within that West Prince Street area. So the potential intensive or incompatible uses might include things like beverage rooms, lounges, cabarets, adult entertainment uses, or emergency shelters. So these amendments anticipate that council would also adopt the West Prince Street Area Advisory Committee policy, which is on council's agenda today. Section 201 of the Municipal Government Act enables council to appoint the Area Advisory Committee to advise the Planning Advisory Committee on land use development matters which affect a specific area, which this is. So therefore, there is a proposed West Prince Street Area Advisory Committee, and the mandate would be to advise the town's existing Planning Advisory Committee on land use and development matters affecting the island. This includes reviewing and making recommendations to PAC on development agreement applications, land use bylaw amendment applications that include lands within the West Prince Street area. So here we see another area map that shows the jurisdiction of the advisory committee. This includes lands that have been historically part of the island, along with a buffer to ensure that the advisory committee is involved in applications that may impact the neighborhood. So it's proposed that the committee have 5 or 7 members that are comprised of a minimum of 2 members of the Town of Truro Council, with preference being given to councillors representing the ward or wards that includes lands within that area, 3 to 6 residents of the West Prince Street area or property owners. Members of the Town Planning Advisory Committee may also serve as members. The committee is only to meet as required to review applications that are within that West Prince Street area. So here we see what that proposed application process would look like. So it's not going to extend it or lengthen it terribly. It does not have to be an extra month. For step 4, the West Prince Street Area Advisory Committee could meet on the same day, just before planning advisory, and make its recommendation. So it looks like it adds a whole step, but it really could be concurrent or just before. So essentially, they would comment on all the applications, they would provide their feedback to the Planning Advisory Committee, who would then advise council on their decision. So, for the town to allow any development that would jeopardize the cohesion and integrity of the island neighborhood would be contrary to the town's community goals related to inclusion and engagement. The proposed amendments and the creation of the committee to make recommendations on these planning applications in and around the Prince Street neighborhood will align with these goals. So council will make a decision on the amendments following the hearing, and then the municipal planning strategy and associated land use bylaw amendments may not be appealed to the Nova Scotia Utility and Review Board following this. That concludes my presentation. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Conley. We'll now open it up to questions from council. And Councillor Fleming.
Thank you, Mayor Hinton. Thanks for the presentation. Well, that was great, Carla. The new committee, once it's formed,
will it be able, like, is it going to review new plans for buildings, or can it be retroactive? I guess that, specifically Gulf Street, that's what I'm asking the question of the department. Are they going to be able to review that? That's what I'm wondering.
Thank you. It'll only review new applications moving forward from that point of establishment.
Good, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Graham?
It's a two-part question. The MGA allows for the creation of area advisory committees. Is there specific criteria? I'm wondering if other areas in our town were interested in forming an advisory committee. Is there criteria that they would need to meet, or is it simply council approval?
Not to my knowledge, there's no special criteria. I'd have to really go back and look at that specific question for an answer for you. I believe it is up to council whether or not to create that advisory committee, so where somebody may ask or request for that to happen, council may not agree that it's a great idea.
Oh, so it's meant to come from council.
Well, council's agreeing to create the committee, so we're asking here today that the West Prince Street Advisory Committee be created. There may be another community group that wants to create a similar advisory committee, but council may not agree with that
Yeah,
one. Right?
okay.
So.
So the second part of my question, is the mandate or the purpose of area advisory committees, is the sole mandate only to address issues of planning?
It's planning and development, yes.
Planning and development only?
Yes. So any application that would go to our planning advisory, the town's planning advisory committee, if it falls within this area outlined on the boundary map, then it would go to the West Prince Street Area Advisory Committee for feedback as well. But it's only for planning and development matters, yes.
Okay, thank you. Those are my only questions.
Thank you. Counselor Talbot?
Yes. This has been discussed widely with the community. There's a lot of community support. We have a community member, one of the leaders who led the charge on this. And I just wanted to say, this is not just happening in Truro. There's very active planning happening around protection of the community in Hammonds Plains, to the point that a planner has been assigned to the community. And from an equity perspective, you know, if certain groups are not intentionally included, they're probably unintentionally excluded. And I can say that that's probably been the experience of the Black community over the centuries. So I think this is a very positive move. That the committee is not a decision-making committee. It makes recommendations to council like any other committee at council, and is absolutely the way to go. And I really am hoping for 100% council support for this.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other questions for Ms. Conley? Okay. I'll now open it up if anyone in the gallery has any questions. Okay, I'm going to ask 3 times. Any other questions for Ms. Conley? It's my second ask. Any other questions? My third and final ask. Seeing none, I'm going to declare the hearing for West Prince Street amendments closed. Thank you, Ms. Conley. We are now going to proceed to our public agenda for today. This is a public council meeting for the town of Truro for Monday, July the 7th, 2025. Mr. Dolter, are there any changes, omissions, deletions to the agenda?
No, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I'd now call for a motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting of July 2025. Motion made by Councilor McGrath, seconded by Councilor Fleming. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Contrary minded, motion is carried. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from June 2nd, 2025. I noticed there was a couple changes that came forward to us, so for those amended changes have already been made. I would now call for a motion. Councillor Fleming? Oh, Councillor Graham?
I'd just like to point out that I was not, nor was Councillor Talbot in attendance at that meeting.
Right.
So-
I think we got an email to that, so I'm going to amend it for that reason. And so Councillor Fleming has motioned and seconder. Councillor Graham? All those, any discussion on that motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Contrary minded, Motion is approved. Thank you very much. Item 3, petitions, delegations, and correspondence. Item A, request for support, Nourishing Communities Food Coupon Program. Mr. Dolter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Council has before it a letter that came from the farmers markets Nova Scotia, and essentially it's asking for support on an initiative they have in order to look at overall provincial funding and commitment to that. So without reading the letter, I just need an indication. In fact, I think we've included a draft of a letter of response or support for council to review. And again, I'm just looking for direction to actually issue that letter on behalf of council to be consistent with the letter that was provided by Farmers Market Nova Scotia to provide that support.
Okay, so we're looking for a mover. Okay, Councillor McGrath, Councillor Graham as the seconder. Any discussion? Deputy Mayor Thomas.
Yeah, it's great. I just was wondering why, are we aware of the reason why the provincial government reduced funding by such a great amount between years?
I can only assume other priorities, but no, we don't. I don't have any direct indication.
That's one thing. And the other thing is I think it would help the letter because I do believe that providing good nutrition to people actually reduces health care costs in the long run. And I think that must be a provincial priority, is to reduce health care costs. It's the largest cost of provincial government. And by investing in good food for people, it reduces that cost in the long term. So I'd like to ask that be added to the letter, if that could be added as a note.
Yeah, we can make that amendment.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't think I received that proposed letter. I haven't been able to find it. Is it in the? But I fully support the Deputy Mayor's amendments that we highlight the benefits that this does bring to the community with regards to health benefits. So much of a lot of what we are trying to do here is looking to benefit the people, and I really believe that this does add a lot of benefits. So I support the motion.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Talbot.
Yeah, certainly has my full support. And I just have to say that I was shocked, given with all the discussion around food security, that the government would actually adopt a position to cut this back. So I think it's terrible policy that they're pursuing in this regard.
Thank you, Councillor. Nothing shocks me anymore. So a motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Very good. Item 3B, petition. Mr. Dolter, trees on Mount Pleasant Boulevard.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. So as you indicate there, we do have a petition that was received around the current plan by our urban forest supervisor to plant 23 trees in the Mount Pleasant green space area that is in that area. Again, this initiative is consistent with our community energy and emissions plan that council has endorsed, as well as part of our strategic plan the council recently approved. So this was an ongoing initiative. I believe there's been over 100 trees planted now, and this is part of that. These 23 trees. The objection of the petition is basically that the green space has trees there now, and as these trees grow, they will block the view of the area. Again, it's an interesting one, Madam Mayor, because the planting of these trees is an operational issue, and we've been directed by council to plant trees, and that's what we are doing in this area. For the public, this area is a town-owned space. And again, that's why the urban tree supervisor thought this was a very good area. As well, for the public's knowledge, there is at least 7 trees in that area right now that are currently at risk and likely to die in the next few years. So this initiative also is designed to replace those trees. This information has been passed to the proponent who brought the petition forward. again, but she is concerned about her view, which we can understand. But I guess the direction for this petition, Madam Mayor, we need is actually no direction at all, because if council is not prepared to take any action as a result of this petition, we will continue with what we are doing, which is following direction of council and planting trees. And clearly, when on land that we own, it's a staff position that we should be able to plan for and upkeep that land the same way we cut the grass and we maintain weed control and everything in that area as well too. So again, that's part of what we do on a daily basis, and planting trees from our perspective is not something we should necessarily have to come back to council. The Urban Forest Committee did look at the overall plan that was developed and I think agreed to the numbers of trees that were intended by the Urban Forest Supervisor to be planted. And again, our position is that it's an operational matter. We do understand that the residents have concern, but we think it's important for the whole of the community that we continue with the program. So I guess, Madam Mayor, I'm looking for, no direction from council to some extent. Again, we'll just continue on with what we're doing unless council tells us differently.
Thank you, Mr. Dolter. And we have a question from Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would be happy to propose no direction for staff in this. We as a council have already given staff the direction on planting trees. Planting trees provide a ton of benefits, as we were just discussing about food insecurity. The benefits of planting trees are numerous. It does help mental health. It can even help physical health. It improves the air quality, helps mitigate climate change, plays a crucial role in soil erosion prevention, water conservation, and creates more livable spaces. And more livable spaces tend to raise property values, which is generally good for residents living in that area. There's a quote, which I'm probably not going to get 100% right, but it's basically that society flourishes when people plant trees whose shade they will not enjoy. I don't know that I'll be sitting under the shade of these trees in 20 years, but we as a council have to always be looking forward to the future and doing things for people we may never meet and may never see to improve the benefit of our community. So I support that staff continue following staff's council's direction to continue planting trees.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Talbot.
Excuse me, I support everything that Councilor McGrath has just said. Even his, the African proverb that he used about the tree in the shade. And you were close. But the question I would have, obviously, Mr. Dolder outlined the direction that council's already given. But if this particular piece of property was under private ownership, would they not be able to plant trees there?
100%. In fact, we'd have if this was a privately owned property, if you can, as long as it's on your side of your property line, you can plant a tree. And again, knowing that whatever overhangs your neighbor has control over. But again, at the end of the day, we support people planting trees in their own yards, yes.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor.
I find myself a little bit on, I'll put it this way. I don't think anybody would deny the fact that I'm pro-tree, right? I don't think there's anybody here that would deny me that statement. Yeah, I love trees and I love what they do. And sitting on the Urban Forest Committee, I now know a lot of the eastern forest, the various species, what they look like and what they do, et cetera. And I've really enjoyed sitting on that committee. And I'm very supportive of the committee and planting trees in town. With that said, this is a kind of a unique neighborhood. We all must also admit that this boulevard, et cetera, it is a kind of an area, and they've enjoyed this area for a long time. With that said, too, I wonder if it was all forested and then we were up there going to cut every tree down, that we'd probably have a petition not to do that. So change is always difficult, and everybody including me, has a hard time accepting change, So that's part of it. But with all that said, and I think I heard you say it, but what I'm interested in, has there been any consultation with the neighborhood pre-complaint and then post-complaint?
I can't indicate. I don't believe, I think there was some discussion pre-complaint. I know the Director of Park Recreation and Culture was talking to the proponent. Ms. Sims, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, just when the arborist was on site, he was putting stakes in the proposed areas, and I know he spoke with a couple community members who seemed to be very positive of the initiative. So that's all we heard before we received the complaint.
Okay.
And to be clear, typically when we're planting trees, we don't do a lot of neighborhood consultation, I guess on the assumption that who has an issue with trees being planted.
Yeah, good.
The one thing, and I will, we will ask for, because one of the comments in the petition is that where they're being planted will deny use of the space. We'll ensure that we're not taking up what is currently open used space with the tree planting to make sure that he does make sure that, the use of the area is respected. So that's, that may not change the quantity of trees, but we certainly won't interfere with any a passive use. One of the things, though, people are aware, this is an area, the green area that's there, that was donated to the town on the basis that it remain passive recreation, which means, we don't build any structures or anything in that area, and it's just there for community use. Therefore, it's not open for development or things like that. It's there for passive recreation. So again, we want to make sure that principle is maintained. So again, we'll ensure the current plan doesn't interfere with the use of the space.
Yeah. So it says here, the petition is to stop the planting of all the trees that are currently staked. So they staked 23 trees, and so what I get, if this petition came to me as a property owner on that street, and it said, this petition is to stop the planting of all the trees that are currently staked, I would say that majority of them are not against planting trees. They're just maybe saying, well, maybe 23 is too many. So I would just like some consideration given to that. Just take a look. And I see people shaking their heads, and I'm not going to get support for this. I can just tell it, but I'm saying that, listen, when I do something on my property, I often check with my neighbor just to see, because it's a neighborly thing to do. And so I'm more inclined to be more neighborly and say, listen, we'll plant 15 trees, and we'll put them more on the east side, the west side than the east side, et cetera. But I'm going to leave that with the town, and I'm going to leave that with the urban forest supervisor to somehow soften the proposal here. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Fleming.
Thank you, Mayor Hinton. For me, the question is pretty simple. It's not whether we plant 10 trees or 100 trees. It's the fact that as council, we have no say in what our staff are doing. We asked them to plant trees. We gave them the mandate to do that. And for me personally, I can't see us, whether it's police, fire, any town department. It's not our job to tell them how to do their job. That's why we hired them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Talbot.
Yeah, I should have mentioned this earlier, but I have to go back to it. Like, when I listened to the PAC and when I sat on the PAC, every application that came before us, the question is, are you going to plant trees? Or we're going to send this to the Urban Tree Committee. So, you know, to take a reversal of that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
One thing I'll add, Madam Mayor, is we'll ask the urban forest supervisor to take a look at his plan to make sure that he still feels it's the right thing. Again, we're not tone deaf at all, but again, we stand by the fact that we do look at increasing the urban forest. We do recognize some of the neighbors. I won't say all neighbors have concerns, and we'll judge accordingly. But again, my hope is that the number of trees will not decrease. We may shift them a little bit, but I want to make sure that we respect what council's directed, and again, we're taking care of our own land. And one of the reasons, I guess, to explain why we didn't necessarily have consultation, this isn't being planted beside a property. This is across the road from all the properties. So it's quite clearly delineated by the road that surrounds this land. So it's not really adjacent to anybody's property at the end of the day.
Thank you. And I think we've already identified the 7 trees are possibly not going to be able to make it. So, I mean, there's 7 there that are gonna have to come back. I mean, I do value anything when it comes to, a petition or whatever, and I know we all appreciate the voice of the people. But we have given a directive and, on planting trees, and it'll be thoughtful planting. I'm sure they will be. I know there was, in the area where I live, there was 8 trees planted, and I watched the care and the diligence they took in planting those trees. So I know they're not just going to put the trees around. I know they're going to be thoughtful in their planting. Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Dolter had mentioned that this land was donated to the town under the provision that it be kept as parks and open space and maintained as such. Based on that, can I assume that this land is not now for sale nor ever for sale?
I will never say never, but currently there is no intent or any plan within any of our current planning documentation to do anything with this property other than have it available for passive recreation.
So if the residents in the area pooled a bunch of money together and dumped a pile of money on the town's desk to say, we want to buy that, they potentially could, but it would still be zoned in policy as parks and open space, undeveloped, and they could then take over the maintenance and the mowing and the weeding and everything else that goes along
All the
with
costs
that.
that goes with it, and we certainly would welcome that if they would keep it in its current condition.
Okay, thank you.
We won't go down that road
We won't
right
go
now.
down that road.
All right, I think we're on agreement here that we're going to let this go as it is at this point in time, with the thanks to the residents that did give the petition. We hear you, and I'm sure whatever planting goes there, it's going to be thoughtful. Thank you for that, Mr. Dolter. Item number 4 under old business is item 4A, it's a request for a decision for 199 Willow Street. Mr. Dolter, if you would.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the application by Meach Holdings Limited to amend the existing development agreement on lands, including 199 Willow Street, by replacing the attached Schedule B elevation drawings. The current drawings show the existing 14-unit residential building with a flat roof. The applicant would like to amend the documents by replacing these drawings with one showing a pitched gable roof. This request was reviewed by the town's Planning Advisory Committee at the April and May 2025 meetings. PAC recommended council amend the agreement and replace the existing Schedule B elevation drawings to reflect the proposed new roof shape. And again, this was just a subject of the public hearing prior to the public meeting today. So the proposed motion, Madam Mayor, is to be resolved the council approve the applicant's request to amend the existing planning development agreement as amended, and that's document 90350720, to replace the Schedule B elevation drawings.
Thank you, Mr. Dolter. Councillor, you have heard the motion. I would now call for a mover, Councillor Fleming. Councillor McGrath seconds it. Any discussion on this motion, Council? Seeing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, the motion is carried. Thank you very much. There'll be a 14-day appeal period from when it appears in the paper and the social media platform. When that's set in motion, the 14-day appeal period begins. If no appeals, then it's approved. Thank you very much. Item 4B, request for decision, West Prince Street Municipal Planning Strategy and Land Use Bylaw Amendments. Mr. Dolter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So again, this request for decision is supported by the public hearing that just occurred. So again, the proposed amendment to the town's municipal planning strategy and land use bylaws will define the West Prince area as delineated on the West Prince area map contained in the revised final staff report dated June 18th. 2, change the policy area designation of any lands in the West Prince area that is designated regional service to urban corridor. 3, rezone 280 Prince Street and all vacant properties in the West Prince area from regional service, from RS, to urban corridor, which is UC. Implement changes to the regional service zone that will introduce height restrictions and limit more intensive commercial uses in the West Prince area. And finally, 5, rezone the new Argus Drive baseball field property from regional service zone to parks and open space zone. So, Madam Mayor, the proposed motion is be it resolved that council approve the amendments to the town's planning documents as described in the final staff report. It was revised, dated June 18th, 2025. that will implement new land use policies, regulations in the West Prince Street area, designed to ensure integrity and stability of the island neighborhood.
Thank you, Mr. Dolter. I'd call for a mover.
So moved.
Okay, Councillor Talbot. Deputy Mayor seconds it. Any discussion on this motion? No? Okay.
One thing, and it's with respect to the Argus ball field. I'm not sure that if this is the proper place, and if it's not, Mr. Dolter can direct me to ask the question in a different form. But the water that's in the park, that the intent is to fill it in. I am receiving complaints that the water is now becoming a breeding ground for insects, and that is causing some concern for some of the young children in the area. So, you know, if this is not the proper place to discuss it, I can bring it up under questions for members.
Probably question by members would be a better forum for that, so I would encourage you to do that.
Okay, thank you. So the motion has been made, it has been seconded. Any further discussion? None? All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Contrary minded? Motion is approved. Big smile from Councillor Talbot. Yeah. Item 4C, request for decision, West Prince Street Advisory Committee policy.
Again, this is related to the public hearing discussion. So again, as recommended, it's proposed to create a West Prince Area Advisory Committee to review planning applications affecting lands that were historically part of the island neighborhood and abutting lands. Council in their package has a description of the committee's responsibilities and the lands that they would be advising on. So the proposed motion is, be it resolved, the council adopt the West Prince Area Advisory Committee policy.
Thank you, Mr. Dolter. Looking for a mover. Councillor McGrath, Councillor Fleming. Any discussion on this motion? Councillor Fleming.
Thank you, Mayor Hinton. I just have a quick question. Did we get letters from the PAC asking us to approve this? I don't remember seeing it now, just quickly flipping through everything.
Yes, Ms. Conley, I believe there was a letter from the PAC on that.
I was going to ask that same question for the last motion we passed.
That's not something I have right at my fingertips at the moment, but I can look through the file.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And I guess it doesn't really matter, but I just want everyone to know that it did go through the PAC.
Yeah,
and that they
correct.
did look at it over,
Yeah.
and they are, I know the recommendation is from them for us to approve.
Yeah, it was unanimously approved by the PAC, but
Thank you.
I don't have a copy of the letter from them, no.
That's it. Thank you.
Councillor Talbot.
I just would say to Councilor Fleming's question that the planning committee also worked actively with the community to kind of frame this in and made some suggestions and changed some things that the community put forward. So the planning committee was very actively involved. Excuse me, the planning department was very actively involved.
Thank you very much. So this has been moved by Councillor McGrath, seconded by Councillor Fleming. We had discussion. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Item 4D, request for decision, the IAFF collective agreement. Mr. Dolter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the new International Association of Firefighters Collective Agreement covering the period from November 1st, 2024 to October 31st, 2029 has been finalized. So be it resolved that Council approve the new IFF collective agreement for the period of November 1st, 2024 to October 31st, 2029.
Thank you. And I want to thank you for all your work on that. I know it's been intense, and we were briefed earlier. Thank you, Charles, for that. Mr. Thompson, very much. I want to call for a mover on this, please. Councillor McGrath, second. Councillor Talbot. Any discussion on this? Yes, calling for the question. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, motion is carried. What an agreeable group we are today. We're now moving on to item 5, which is our in-camera summer reports. And Mr. Dolter, you're up first.
Yep, thank you, Madam Mayor. Oh, actually, I'm going to do the in-camera summary report, yes.
Yep.
So Council met earlier today in camera to deal with one issue of a labor requirement, and there are no plans to meet after this meeting for further in cameras.
Thank you very much. Item 6 is our committee reports. After each report, council may ask questions. After all the reports are presented, I'll ask for a motion for the reports to be approved, and any final questions can be brought forward at that time. Mr. Dolter?
So,
You're up.
thank you, Madam Mayor. So, the second meeting for the Department of Emergency Management CAO's Roundtable took place on June 26th. The CAOs are continuing to work in conjunction with the department on the new standards that will be brought forward for approval at the end of the process. As part of this, we reviewed the hazardous risk assessment that the standards will be based on throughout the province. There are financial grants being offered to municipalities that qualify for them to help them deal with some of the emergency planning requirements in their particular areas. We will review to determine if any of these provide an opportunity to our REMO which is our regional emergency measures organization within Colchester or Truro. There was discussion on the fire services review, as well as an update on the fire training school and where that stands with the province. We also had a discussion on the vulnerable persons registry with the focus on developing a common standard throughout the province on who would be included on this list. So again, this has been discussed for an extended period. Where we're leaning right now is Halifax has a working standard right now, which I think there's a kind of a movement to adopt their standard. So again, there'll be more to follow on that. Managed deer hunt. Staff met with DNRR staff on June 6th to discuss the approval of an urban hunting site for the fall hunt. As a result of this meeting, staff will be preparing a detailed briefing package for the minister to seek approval for this urban site. In order for it to be approved, the minister will have to accept certain exceptions to the current hunting regulations that currently make the site unusable. Staff strongly feel that the site will work well and be safe with a proper plan in place. The briefing should be ready for submission by the end of July. Obviously, we understand that it may take some time for approval, so we do want to get it into the minister as early as possible. And we'll refer back to DNR staff for once we have the plan put together to make sure we haven't missed anything. Senior staff met with the consultant about some of the preliminary findings and recommendations being developed for the from the public consultation in meeting with various stakeholders for the regional transit study. The consultant was trying to gauge the feeling of both town and county staffs about the proposed routes and initial financial estimates. Staff provided feedback on what was presented and indicated where changes should be made. We'll also be asked for some specifics around infrastructure to be developed for some of the future meetings. We expect to meet again as the study advances. QP negotiations, so we have sat down with local 734, and that was late last week, 4th of July. The QP collective agreement expired on the 1st of May 2025. The local represents our public works and parks and recreation and culture outside staff. So again, those we have meetings scheduled for later in July to resume those discussions. Rec board meeting. So initial meeting of newly appointed rec board was held on 16 June. The meeting consisted of a general briefing and election of the executive. Again, we expect another meeting to take place sometime in July. George Jones Memorial Fire Station. I had the honor, as well as with other members of council and the mayor, to attend the naming of the Truro Fire Station to the George Jones Memorial Fire Station on June 25th. This was a project that took over 4 years to bring to its conclusion. The project was initiated by local historian and educator Nevin Jackson, who brought the story of Truro barber George Jones forward, and how he was instrumental in organizing and advising at a meeting that started the Truro's first bucket brigade in the 1880s. This was done at a time when a black man was not considered to have any degree of influence to be able to initiate such a process, much less be listened to by town leaders at the time. So I really want to thank Nevin Jackson, the Truro historian, the Truro Fire Brigade, former Deputy Chief Slim Fisher, Deputy Chief, which I think is former as well too now, Bentley Rice, Chief Blois Curry, and members of the Truro Fire Service for the work that they put into this. Again, this program started off as a plaque in the actual common room in the meeting space there in the fire station, kind of evolved into naming of the station, which I think was a very positive move and a major commitment by both the brigade, the service, and the town. So special thanks as well to our special events coordinator, Megan Burgess, who organized the event, and certainly the Truro Fire Service. If you didn't see the pictures, using the ladder truck or the aerial truck to unveil the sign on the building was a great touch, and it all went well, and it was well attended by members of the African Nova Scotia community as well as other members of the town or other residents. It was a very good event. The police review. So Mayor Hinton and I participated in a meeting with the other mayors and CAOs with municipal police departments over our concerns about the recently released police review. While the media is focused on the issues of municipal policing, the real concerns in the report were around poor rural policing coverage. With the provincial announcement, the province seems to now be focused on placing more priority on the RCMP, who have been responsible for the poor rural performance. Our focus needs to be on fair and equitable treatment of the municipal departments, and that the Department of Justice is not allowed to download additional responsibilities or standards without justification or due process. I know earlier the deputy mayor did, and I'll let him speak to it when in time, that the Board of Police Governance for the province also express their concerns or have a draft to express their concerns as well. Again, this is a major issue, and if residents of Truro are not aware of what's going on, certainly we think our department is well positioned. We meet, if not all, we meet almost all the standards except for some services that we don't currently provide, which we will arrange to provide them when that requirement exists, and those are mainly things that we don't use frequently, like a dive team, bomb disposal, and emergency response capability. But again, those are things that we've been provided historically through the service exchange agreement that we have in place, which again is another issue that has to be addressed. So again, that's just express our concerns, and certainly the CEOs and mayors are on top of this, and we are putting together a submission that will go to either through NSFN to the province as well, expressing the concerns with the current process. Community solar project. So attached to my report is a briefing note to update council on the community solar project that we have underway with the County of Cumberland. Again, not going to go through the briefing note. I did want council to have it available. There are some ongoing issues that I want council to be aware of. I certainly will address questions once council's had a chance to digest what's in there, and we'll provide next steps, and we will have some updates coming forward in the next few weeks as we look at some alternatives. Street initiatives and communications report. Just some things I'm going to highlight as I get through the briefing note. So equity and anti-racism strategy. So as council's aware, Waking the Unconscious has been contracted to assist in facilitating our strategy. So a draft report was received and reviewed in mid-June. We're now waiting for the final report, which is expected to be delivered in July. Number 2, Construction Battalion Commemoration. So the unveiling of the memorial and the renaming ceremony and the commemoration event was anticipated to take place, as council is aware, following the completion of the revitalization project. This event we originally had planned for August 1st, but has been postponed until the fall 2025 to ensure that the site is ready. And at this point, we're glad we did delay that, because again, we're looking at least mid-July before the site is fully done, and then we still have to address the deficiencies. But as early as this weekend, Councillor Talbot attended a ceremony in Pictou and announced that the date we have agreed with the committee to be on the 8th of November. And again, more to follow for council on that, and certainly final plans have to be put together, but we've picked that later date in order to ensure that we can take the site and get all the preparatory work for the monument to be installed and all the work that goes in there and the design work. So again, it will take some time, but again, we're happy to be able to announce that date. And of course, all dates are subject to change, but that is the date that we feel that we can meet at this point. Regional tourism strategy plan implementation. So the executive committee, which was comprised of one council member from each of the 4 partners, which are Truro, Colchester, Stewiacke, and Millbrook, met on June 13th to discuss the establishment of the society. With the MOU approved by the 4 councils in June, a call of applicants for board members has been made and final selection was discussed. In addition, society bylaws, memorandum of association, and society operating agreements are being reviewed. A little bit more on the urban deer hunt, just to fill the public council and public in. So Nesket Biology Research has completed this year's pellet group inventory survey for the town. Report was delivered to staff in late June and is now being reviewed by the town and Department of Natural Resources and Renewables. Since 2018, this company has been retained by the town to conduct baseline and ongoing measurements on the presence of deer in and around Truro. In collaboration with DNR, Nesket Biology Research has completed 8 years of a standard Nova Scotia population study in suitable deer habitat on lands in and near the town. So in 2025, the count on individual transects, which are basically straight lines that go through the woods, varied up and down from previous years. However, the report generally concluded that while the 2025 counts are lower than the peak years of 2020 and 2021, the count is still higher than the average found in 2018 and is still significantly higher than those found in larger regional areas in any year from 2017 to 2024, and is approximately double in most years from other areas. The report continues to support the likelihood that deer density in and near Truro, the urban area, are amongst the highest found in Nova Scotia, despite the impact of removal of almost 149 deer from the immediate areas through the 4 town of Truro controlled hunts that we've conducted since January 2022 and the fall of 2024. So again, not optimistic news, but it's not surprising at all. We did know that given, and largely due to climate change, right now with the very mild winters we've been having, lack of snowfall, deer are having no problem foraging and finding food. And as a result, their reproduction is above average probably in any given year. So we plan to continue, and we do feel that, as I indicated earlier in my report, the identification of urban sites where we can take care of more of the urban deer population is where we really need to go, and hopefully we'll be successful in convincing DNR that that is the case, and we'll move this forward. So again, for council's information, we will do a presentation, probably September council meeting, where we will talk about the pellet studies, and council can see those trends. So again, I don't have that information right now, but again, we are looking through the current reports, and we'll have that information shortly. Fleet electrification study. So as outlined as a recommended action in the town's community energy and emissions plan, the town is undertaking a fleet electrification study on its light and medium duty fleet to determine the feasibility of converting some of the town's converting some of the town's municipally owned vehicles from gas-powered to electric vehicles. Phase 1 of the study is fully funded through the Climate Ready Infrastructure Service program and is expected to be completed throughout the summer. So that is ongoing, and we hope to identify vehicles that do make sense for electrification. And again, one of the critical pieces of that we install some additional charging units so that if we have electric vehicles at Town Hall, we can actually charge them in the evenings. And we have, our latest purchase of the development planning vehicle is a hybrid vehicle. So it is, it has some electrification through the hybrid system on board. So again, that's a positive step. And again, from a communications perspective, we have been promoting a lot of different things going on. George Jones Memorial Fire Station was one of them. and then a lot of the other staff activities going on. And of course, the ever-popular Mayor Hinton monthly video series is ongoing. And again, those being well received. And again, there's a long list in the report as well of the other activities that council may or may not be aware of. But we are very active in social media, and we do seem to be, for the most part, getting positive response. And again, as always, the Town of Truro program overview on funding applications that we have put into either federal or provincial funding agencies. And again, right now, there's 3 pending that we await word on, and hopefully we'll get positive response on those as well. That is my report, Madam Mayor, respectfully submitted.
Thank you very much. A very busy month. Thank you for that very detailed report. And thank you for bringing up about the policing for people that are just starting to hear about that now. As I said in our meeting, Mr. Dolder, as you recall, that our citizens have come to expect a certain standard from our police of very fast response times. And we stand with our Truro Police Service and the wonderful work that they do. Okay, I've got questions.
Madam Mayor, on that, I just want to make one point, because again,
Yes.
I want to make sure that the public understands the average RCMP officer on the ground is doing an excellent job.
Yes,
The
absolutely.
problem with rural policing in Nova Scotia is not the officers that are there. It's the model that has been implemented and they're following. And again, it doesn't work for local policing or responses. And that's why we're so proud of our model and our response time and the coverage that Truro Police Service provides to the town.
Thank you. Indeed, we are. Thank you so much. Councillor Talbot.
Thank you, Mr. Dolder. I have a comment and a question. First, I'll make my comment. Like you mentioned, I did attend the 31st commemorative celebration, the number 2 construction battalion. And the point I wanted to make is the national apology was referenced, and some concern whether that would just be a bunch of words. And our community was recognized for the fact that we took some action, that we're putting up a monument, and that we've renamed the training grounds. So we did get accolades for that. So I did want to mention that. My second one, the question, and this is a big concern of mine, do the province recognize that if we're not able to have an urban site to reduce the deer population, that we won't reduce the population at all?
I will say I think they do. We certainly have gotten a good response out of DNR staff. The challenge is that the hunting regulations are what is all they have to go by right now. So if we do want to identify an urban site, they have to, basically the onus is on us to show them how it's going to be as safe as the current hunting regulations. The site that we're talking about, we feel can easily be made because of the topography that's involved. So again, it is a good site. And we think it probably can be replicated in other areas. It's just that, again, I think the minister wants some assurances that it can be run safely, and so the onus is on us to be able to show him that and go from there. So I think they understand that. It's just that, again, they equally have an obligation to ensure that we've done everything we need to do to make it safe for everybody.
Thank you. Councillor Graham.
I'm wondering about the newly appointed rec board. Have they established, or has a mandate been established for that new group?
Yes, the mandate is within basically within the operating agreement. Their responsibility is overall governance. So again, there's nothing new to what they need to do. There were some specific discussions that I really can't get into on some of the things that are currently going on, which they are aware of, and they are aware of what steps need to be taken in order to move things forward, but their general mandate has not changed.
I'm wondering about, at the conclusion of a year, how we will determine whether or not the objectives of that board will have been achieved.
I think that will be simply by making the concerns and issues that led to bringing in the new board have been addressed. I think that's, again, and there's quite clearly we know exactly what those issues are. So once we come to resolution on each of those issues, and we've established a way forward, that'll be the point where we know we've achieved what we need to achieve.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor Thomas.
Yeah, a couple of things, a couple of questions, a couple of comments. First of all, I sit on the Nova Scotia Association of Police Governance, and who they are is a collective representative of all the municipal police boards, including Truro, which I sit on, and in which Councillor Talbot is the chair of the police board here in town. And they have looked over this recommendation by the Department of Justice. And when it comes to the comprehensive Nova Scotia policing review, they do appreciate the review, and a lot of the suggestions in the review as being important suggestions and needed in the province. It really depends on the municipality as to whether or not you're meeting the standards. And it's clearly our belief here in Truro that we have an excellent police department, and we're meeting most, if not all, even anticipated standards. So we're quite pleased with that. They did write, and are writing, the Justice Department with some concern about the remedies that they're proposing, that the remedies that they're proposing are probably not, will not be accepted by most. And so, going forward, this is going to take time. This is not something that, this is going to take months or if not years to bring a solution. So, we don't all need to get too excited too quick. It's going to grind through, there's so many working parts in this. So anyways, that's my comment on that. Mr. Dolter, I'm just wondering about the green solar project. I really appreciate the briefing note that you sent around. From what I gather from your briefing note, the finances are not clear as whether this project will be successful. Now, we've hired a green solar consultant, green solar project consultant, and we're paying him or her, the company, a fair bit of change to give us consulting. Are they going to end up giving us a solid recommendation? Because I don't have the level of expertise required to really understand whether these things are viable or not, and I'm looking for a yes or no on viability. Will they give us that?
I think the current work that they've done, they're standing by that particular work. We are looking at a third-party verification on some of that work because, again, as you just said, we're not experts in this particular area. We do have some concerns that we are trying to address now to see if we can revise our application in order to resubmit it and make sure that it'll get serious considerations. One of the challenges that municipalities face with this, and again, there is a capital tax credit that's available to non-municipal units. So if you're a private organization, as a result of that, it's difficult to be competitive against some of the private interests that are actually applying for these power purchase agreements. That's the challenge that we have. There is some suggestions of additional partnering that we could do. We may explore some of those. But we are looking at a third-party consultant that can review some of the work that's been done to find out whether or not it's in line with what the industry standards are. We thought that it was, and then to get the review that we got back from the province is clear indication that our numbers are not in line with where they should be. So again, we're taking a second look at it and trying to figure that out. The current consultant is not in a position, they're not prepared to adjust their numbers. They say they are what they are. So again, that's why we're having somebody else look at them to figure out what needs to be changed or whether or not that's just the cost of it and we aren't going to be competitive.
Right. Yeah, it's very important to be competitive in this so that, it's an excellent project. If it works well, it'll provide reduced rates of electricity for vulnerable people within our community. So that's very positive. It could end up with a net positive cash flow for the town. But if it doesn't, then we're subsidizing people's power bills. And I don't think people really want to be doing that. So the project has to work. My last comment has to do with the pellet studies. I'm very interested to know, and I know you said in your report that we will be finding this out, but I just want to make a comment that I'm interested to know, can we isolate those pellet counts to downtown versus the boundary areas of the town? Because I do believe the population within the core of the town is increasing because we haven't had a hunt there and there's no pressure and the deer are smarter than we even imagined. And yeah, they've got this thing figured out, I figure.
Yeah, and there are, some of the transects are further into town, and I think, I haven't seen the data, but I'm sure we're gonna see that those numbers are way up in some of those areas. Obviously, we're hunting the perimeter, and anecdotally, I'll say we're probably driving them further into town.
Maybe.
Potentially. One of the positives that's ongoing, though, and I need to get an update, and Ms. Grant and I haven't been able to talk about this, but Colchester is looking at implementing a hunt as well, and that's positive right now, because right now when we set up a site, we got to make sure we're staying within the boundaries of the town. If we can work with them for that, we can probably do some, particularly in the Salmon River areas, we can do some combined sites that'll probably will have a positive effect on deer that are moving across, because obviously the deer don't know where the town and county boundaries are, and so it's difficult for us to kind of organize the hunts around those.
Yeah, so just
yeah.
by knowing the pellet counts in the core of the town, it might work also to emphasize the need for a hunt in that area.
Yeah, and
They're
we'll use
greater
some of that
than-
data if we can in order to support our position.
And just the last thing, yeah. No, I think that's good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. My deer are living the good life in my backyard, and they're very secure. They're not going anywhere forever. So I'm just, what can I say? I'm going to end it there. All right, we're going to move on to our second report, which is corporate services, with our director, Tara Russell. And so, Ms. Russell, take it away.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The financial statements included in your package provides an overview of the financial position of the town of Truro operations up to the end of May 2025. Total revenue to the end of May of 16.2 million, or 40.6% of the annual budget. Several revenue lines are booked on a quarterly basis, so are at zero so far this year. Property taxes were billed in April and is at 50% of budget, as would be expected. Total expenses to the end of May is 6.6 million, or 16.5% of the annual budget, in line with expectations. A few items are noted that I'll go through related to budgeted items that occurred earlier in the year, resulting in higher percentages of spend year to date than might be expected. Under general administration, professional development is at $8,674, or 31% of the budget, primarily due to the AMANS conference and CAMA conference attendance. Grants of $209,000 were paid year to date, which was 41.9% of budget. Professional fees are at 38.2% of budget, driven by the timing of the annual insurance renewals and the quarterly payment of PVSC assessment services. Other expenses are at 27.2% of budget, driven by our document management system renewal. Under corporate services, information technology is at $146,000, or 22.9% of budget, driven by the computer replacements and timing of annual renewals. Under police services, professional development at 58.7% of budget, primarily due to the purchase of ammunition for the annual firearms training and qualifications. For engineering and public works, professional development is at 55.5%, or $27,740, driven by subscription renewals and attendance at 2 conferences. For parks, recreation, and culture, tree preservation and maintenance is a bit high at 25.3% of budget, driven by $20,000 of unbudgeted spend related to a tree planting grant that we will receive from CN at the end of the project to offset these costs. That grant was for $50,000. For our capital updates, I've also attached a copy of the capital budget and spending as of May 31st. Spending is shown when invoices are entered for payment. Values are shown at total cost. However, some of these purchases will be partially funded by grants. Capital spending is ramping up with spending at the No. 2 Construction Battalion site in Argus Drive Ballfield, as well as progress on certain IT and Parks, Recreation, and Culture purchases. The zero-turn mowers, together with the side-by-side, came in at about $3,600 above budget, but the team is comfortable that this spend can be made up by being below on other projects. The rock wall slope remediation is expected to be well below budget. Then I've listed a number of projects that were awarded in May under procurement. These projects have been previously approved through the budget process, and many of these can also be seen in the capital update report. I just want to point that point to that the amounts listed in this section exclude HST. Under other updates, in June, I attended a 2-day workshop which provided best practices related to performing a water rate study. This will be useful in the months to come as we get ready to do a study for the town. The finance manager is leading the audit for the town of Truro and the town of Westville, so has been very busy the past couple of months preparing for this. The financial audit for Truro began June 23rd, and testing was mostly complete last week. IT staff are still working on the installation of the IT equipment at the No. 2 Construction Battalion grounds and have started the computer upgrades with staff. The HR manager has been working on a few initiatives for the town. A new policy for employee service awards, which includes a structured system of awards based on length of service, ensuring employees feel valued and appreciated for their commitment to the town. She's also planning to create a wellness committee with the mandate of promoting physical, mental, and emotional well-being of our employees, and is also developing engaging job ads aimed at attracting top talent in collaboration with our marketing communications coordinator, also working with our EDIA coordinator to ensure fairness and transparency in job postings. And this month was also very busy working with KPMG on the job evaluations and salary reviews. Our safety officer facilitated a comprehensive hazard assessment on town departments. Reports are expected back mid-July with presentation to senior staff on any gap recommendations. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions, Council, for Director Russell? Councilor Graham?
My question is with regard to the deed transfer tax revenue. I see last year our actuals were 142,740. Our budgeted amount for this year is 900,000. I'm aware that we've increased it, but only by 0.5%. I'm wondering why we are seeing such an anticipated increase in that deed transfer tax line.
You mean the budgeted amount?
Yes.
I don't recall exactly how the formulation worked, but it is very much an estimate because it relies on us knowing what buildings are going to sell. So it was a conservative estimate at the time. Are you talking about the actuals or the budget?
The budget. So
Yeah.
the actuals last year were 142,000.
Oh,
We've
sorry,
budgeted 900,000.
That's as of this point
Sorry.
in the year.
Yes, sorry, that's as of
So-
May 31st last year, compared to May 31st this year, compared
So-
to a total year's budget.
900,000 is the annual budget, 142,000 is the budget up to May of 2024.
The actuals up to May 24. Yeah, sorry, the budget, if I recall, was 600,000 last year.
Okay.
So the actuals as of this date, as of now, are 49,779.
Yes.
Now, the actual as of this date in 24-25 were 142,740, right?
Okay.
So those are the actuals. 900,000 is this year's budget. I think last year's was 600,000.
I think it was 600.
But I think our final number at year end was over $900,000.
Okay, I understand
so
now.
it's-
Thank
yeah,
you
so-
for your clarification.
Yeah, that's year to date, basically. 142 is the year to date number.
Okay, that adds some clarity for me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councilor Graham. Okay. Seeing no more questions, thank you very much, Director. We're going to move on to our next report, and that is Fire Services with Chief Curry.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Council. Last month, we received 100 calls. Call categories were 3 structure fires, 4 mulch fires, 1 car fire, 12 alarms, 57 medical calls, 10 motor vehicle collisions, 8 burning complaints, 1 power line down, 1 door breach, 2 mutual aid calls, and 1 assist for RCMP. The fire inspector's report for the month was 4 inspections, 4 follow-up inspections, 2 investigations, and 2 vendor permits. Training for staff and volunteers were on thermal image cameras, hazmat, and water supply. And if I just may add that I didn't put into the fire inspection report, there has been some new changes to our Fire Safety Act, which we'll update you guys in a fuller report later. But it is going to now allow us to do fire inspection on all apartment buildings less than 4 units, which we were not able to do before. which will change the way that we do some inspections here in Truro. So that is, on our part, it is a good thing. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief, do you want to mention the truck?
Oh, yes, sorry, I apologize. This all happened after my report, but the Department of Natural Resources has approved the gifting of a fire truck for us to use for wildland firefighting. So that will be coming soon, and we can update you on that when we actually receive the unit.
So the chief is going to check out the truck, but it's in response to our wildfire use. So again, it's valuable, and we certainly thank the province for the donation and applaud the chief for his initiative of going after it, and we got it. So again, it should, in the long run, should give us more capability and hopefully save us a little bit of money, or we'll probably have to spend some money to get it ready. But again, it's a good addition to the fleet.
And Chief, I had the opportunity to see Bentley Rice, and
Yes.
we all wish him the very best, and he'll be missed.
Yes.
And, yeah.
And he ended his term with us with a fire for his last call and his last incident command before he left, which was kind of ironic.
Nice, very
That was
nice.
very good. We do wish him the best.
Absolutely. Deputy Mayor.
Yeah. Chief, I just was wondering, when it comes to open fires, you have to get a permit from the town, correct? You call the fire department, it costs you $10, does it, to? How does that work? Just because there's some open fires, and when you go on the provincial website, it says from 2 in the afternoon till 7 in the morning right now you can burn. It's all weather dependent, of course, and the risk it involves. So that changes from day to day, and But in the town of Truro, can somebody look at that website and say, okay, it's okay in this area, so I can burn, or what's the?
I'll try to sum this up the best I can. So we do follow the provincial guidelines for whether or not we can burn or not burn within the town of Truro.
Correct.
The same as we do in the entire province. If you have an approved burning appliance in your yard and meet our policy that's in place, then you can have a campfire in your backyard and enjoy it, as long as there's no burn ban on. We do also issue permits if you are going to burn some debris. Then you can call down to the fire station, and you can call down to the fire station and have our fire inspector or one of our members go up just to check your burning appliance to make sure that it meets the current standards. But if you're going to burn debris, then yes, you can get a permit for that. You come down to the department, our fire inspector will go up and make sure you meet all the measurements and minimum requirements, and then you would be allowed to burn on a day that you are allowed to burn within the province.
Right, okay, but if you're going to burn debris without, what I'm hearing is you're going to burn debris, just to burn debris without an approved appliance to burn it in, then you need a $10 permit to do that.
Yes, you need a permit.
And also have to comply to the burn regulations of the province,
Yes,
as far as open or not.
yes.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Chief. And up next, sitting in for Mr. Fox, who's on vacation, is Carla Conley. He's been busy today, so your report, Carla, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. With regards to planning projects, the department is currently working on a naturalized lawn policy and regulation. It was circulated to council early in the month of June with an outlined proposed approach regarding the naturalized lawn care bylaw or regulation for council's consideration. A formalized presentation will be presented to council in September, and staff will be seeking direction from council with regard to how council would like to proceed with that before drafting a full policy and regulation at that time. Regarding planning applications, we have 11 active applications, 8 of which are multi-unit residential developments, including 656 Yonge Street, which is a multi-building 218-unit proposal, 730 Yonge Street at 276 units, 737 Roby Street at 46 units and a 5-story building, 20 Callback, 64 units and a 5-story building, 67 Inglis Street, which is to be confirmed, but probably a 5-story building, units unknown, 37 Braemar, which is a multi-unit mix, 45 units approximately, 5 stories, maybe, we'll see. Rexdale Ford Marshland development is 190 units with 4 and 5-story buildings. Lower Truro Road and McClure's Mills building application, which is a multi-building 2, 5, and 9-story mix with 155 units. And then we have 3 applications that were not multi-unit residential. One was the 199 Willow Street, which we heard today at a public hearing, 155 Arthur Street, which is a cat clinic within the urban corridor zone, and 245 Roby Street, which is the mall property where they are requesting to put in another pad site in the existing parking lot. For site plan approval applications in the month of June, there was 1 active application at that time. Regarding building statistics, comparing June of 2025 with June of 2024, the number of permits for the month this year, the month of June, at 58 permits issued compared to 68 for last year. 74 units for this month of June compared to 90 units in June of 2024, with a construction value of 25.5 million, let's say, for June of 2025, compared to the June 2024 value of just over 21 million. So a little bit of a change there. Regarding active bylaw violations, there are 65 active violations with 26 resolved, and the rest are kind of in a state of in progress. We're dealing with it, and 1 is inactive, and we're still dealing with that one as well. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any questions for Ms. Conley? Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Connolly, for the report. I have a small concern about the naturalized lawn policy that's in place. I mean, this is obviously something that it was a motion that I raised. It's something I'm passionate about. This was going to be presented at council last month, but didn't have time to get it in. Director Fox was kind enough to send that out. I heard, and I think we all heard at that time, that it would be presented today. Now it's being pushed off to September. That's a 3-month delay. Now, when I first brought this motion forward, I did say we probably wouldn't have it in time for this summer season. But I'm looking for some assurances that we'll have it in place for the next summer season. Is there, when we're talking about like, it'll be presented to council and then the full draft, or the proposal will be fleshed out from there. How long are we looking at, theoretically, ballpark figure of completing this report and being able to potentially enact some change depending on the outcome of that report?
I think we would be able to hit that target before the next growing season. That certainly is Director Fox's intention when we talked about it prior to today's council meeting. He just really wanted to be here in order to present that to council, so it's not on today's agenda. I do think that it can be approved as long as the direction that council gives and the proposed approach that staff gives, they align, which I'm sure, I don't see why they wouldn't, that we should definitely meet next year's growing season. We've already missed that this year, where the urgency maybe is a little bit decreased, but yes, that's the target.
Well, it is certainly a concern of mine when I look at the list of bylaw enforcements. A little over 23% are for long grasses, and I think almost a quarter of those or more were deemed invalid. So that makes me think that, yes, we really need to get some direction on that. I have another question, and that's on the affordable housing framework. You get all the great questions in Mr. Fox's absence. Do we have any updates on that file? We're supposed to be getting a meeting with the county. Have we met?
I have no update on that.
I can speak to that.
Okay, great.
I'll step back in. We have had some discussion with the county where we are going to sit down and arrange a meeting. I talked to the CAO with the county, and we left it in their court. They thought they left it in our court, so we are going to arrange a meeting once Mr. Fox is back, and we can do so. So we are looking at moving that forward.
So we should hopefully have an update on affordable housing framework by September?
Yes, I would hope we can do that. Yeah, the only, we don't, they don't meet in July and we don't meet in August. But we should have something together for September. That would be the hope. And I'll talk to Mr. Fox as soon as he gets back on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. No further questions. We're moving on now. Apparently somebody had so much fun before. They're back. Inspector Bruce Lake is back with us today, and he's going to prepare the report. So if you could present that, we'd be much grateful.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is the monthly report for Truro Police Service, June 2025. Reported total calls for service were 775, with some charges stemming out of that of 208. A breakdown, I guess, would be traffic collisions. We had total traffic collisions 24 for the month. Provincial traffic offenses 202 with 30 check stops. Impaired investigations 7. Controlled and Drugs and Substance Act 4. Mental health well-being, we had a total of 46 calls for the month. Court order violations 21. Assaults 8, thefts total of 32 investigations. Mischief 14, break and enters 2 investigations, fraud and forgery 4, suspicious persons and vehicles 98, alarm calls 26, for police calls for general assistance 150. Total speeding offenses would be 75 for the month, respectfully submitted.
Thank you very much, Inspector. Any questions for Inspector Lake? Okay. Councillor Talbot.
Yeah, I don't have a question, but I just wanted to make a brief comment about the police review, because we kind of stated that Truro is well positioned, and we are, because we have most of the specialized services, but that's not true for most of them in the municipal units. So the concern is not just a Truro concern, it's a provincial concern. So I didn't want that fact lost.
Yeah. The good thing that we do have in place, and I know Councillor Talbot's aware of this, we've got a number of MOUs in place where we provide assistance to some of the other smaller departments out there. And again, that leads on to one of the other bigger concerns with the report, is that they said we can't sign any more of those MOUs. We have to go back to the RCMP to buy those services. And that's certainly a position we're going to be challenging, because we do think that with municipal departments within our region, particularly, we can probably work together to make sure that those services are available and not necessarily have to buy them from the RCMP or the provincial police, and be a lot more responsive to the community. So again, that's one of the discussions that I think will be ongoing, and we really do need a commitment out of the province that they're not going to, they're going to require a set of standards, so you have to have this service, but don't tell us how to get that service. We'll figure that out. Maybe it's buying it from the center, but it might be providing it among our sister departments.
Thank you for that clarification. Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Inspector Lake. Welcome back. Last month when we spoke, we were asking you about the speed trailer and some of the data that was available for it, and you said that some of that data might be available to us this month. Do we have that updated? I didn't see it in the report.
There is, I did see, I can speak to an email that I did receive that had a little bit of a breakdown. I'm not sure who received this. However, just for, it was concerns, I guess, speeding on Brunswick Street during the month. So in various states in June, we did do a number of deployments of the speed trailer, as well as some stationary enforcement, I guess, by an officer. But the speed trailer did, it was calculating quite a few vehicles over, like, for example, June the 24th at 3:30. Over a number of hours, it picked up 793 vehicles with an average speed of 41, with the highest speed being reported as 58. And that continued on with a very similar report for the 25th, 26th, 27th, with, just give another example, 4 p.m. Brunswick Street, 668 vehicles, average speed 41, highest speed of 65. So yeah, so there is some, the reporting on that speed trailer is becoming valuable for sure, and it kind of outlines over a number of hours what we're seeing. Sometimes, obviously, the reporting speeding that people observe may or may not be speeding, but this really breaks it down, and the highest speeds that we're seeing, I'll just give those out, as 58, 57, 65, 57 were the highest speeds that were recorded over that period of time. And I'll make a note too that with the speed trailer, I know there's some concerns. We're out there, it's very very overt. You can see it. People will slow down, whatnot, when they see those things. I will make a comment with the speed trailer. Yes, of course, if you see it, there may be people slowing down. We like to, for the way it works, basically, it picks up the speed before it actually even shows the speed on the screen. So there is some, I guess, buffer in there that most people speed are recorded prior to it even them even noticing or seeing either, a speed trailer being there.
Right. So I did see that email. I don't know if you were copied on my response, but it is similar to what you're saying, because I had, I'll stand out, I'll see the speed trap, and I've stood out there, and I've watched the oncoming traffic. And about 400 meters out by my, track running estimations, you see the front bumper dip. People see the vehicle, they see the trailer, they slow down, which is great for that time being. It is not great in the long run, because as soon as the trailer or the vehicle is gone, people are back to speeding, 100%. And this is something that I can notice. I know when the truck is out there or the trailer is out there without ever looking, because I'll sit in my office going, gosh, it's quiet. Why? What has happened? And one of two things has happened: a road closure has happened, or a police vehicle has shown up. So that observable behavior absolutely is changed by the presence of the police. So if we could find some more covert way, I think that's really how we address the speeding, or rather get a better picture of a truer picture of the speeding issue. And I will turn to Public Works probably in a few minutes to reiterate what I've always been saying, is that we really need to address road design if we want people to stop speeding, because when we have these long, wide, straight roads that feel like highways, people are going to drive as if they are on the highway. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Talbot?
Yeah, I'd like to challenge Councilor McGrath just a little bit, because we've had this discussion, and we brought in a private independent company to also do the speed test, and we got results similar to what have been discussed here. But the radar, the way that works on that speed trap, picks up the car long before the car can be seen. So, I don't know that what you're saying is absolutely 100% correct.
Thank you. We're now going to move on to Public Works, and Mr. McKinnon, if you could present your report, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I'm pleased to read the report this month, and honored to share with you Oliver's first report. As you'll see, it's a little more detailed than my previous reports. Just before I get into it, I'll point out that there is a fairly major typo in the second bullet. It says McLean Street. That'll read as Martha. It's Martha that we discussed at budget time that we're doing street work on. So I will read through it and I'll read the typos as I go. So the monthly highlights for June of 2025, work on Willow Street Sidewalk project is nearly substantially complete by Dexter Construction, and staff are reviewing the work for any deficiencies that may need to be corrected by the contractor. Since this project has been executed under budget to date, staff are also reviewing options for additional sidewalk and curb extension within this project area. This year's street recapitalization for the road preservation tax funding projects are planned to include three sections of Prince Street: Commercial to Dominion, Pleasant to Arlington Place, and Wood Street to Aberdeen, Willow Street, Arthur Street to the old DAR right-of-way, which is the driveway into the Parks and Recreation shop, and the lower portion of Martha Avenue, as well as George Street. This year's street recapitalization for the Canada Community Building Fund projects, what we used to call the gas tax streets, are planned to include Argus Drive, Havelock Street, Queen Street, from the western tracks to Elizabeth Street, as well as Cobequid Drive. On top of all of the operational improvements, capital planning, and service requests, staff also have a high level of effort of project oversight and project management services from department staff that has been required to be directed to the No. 2 Construction Battalion facility, the Colchester Legion Stadium renovations, and the new Argus Drive ball field projects to date. Staff continue to progress the department's asset management plans and programs. Progress on this has also been shown up to now slowed up due to the level of effort on the project oversight and project management services as mentioned above. Department issued 26 working within the town right-of-way permits to date in 2025, with 5 of them issued in the month of June. Department staff received 52 service requests from residents and other town departments during the month of June, with 30 having already been completed this month. I've Environmental Services Water Crew conducted and completed the spring hydrant flushing program and has continued with hydrant maintenance throughout the month, which included replacement of 4 hydrants. The water crew also responded and effectively repaired 6 water service leaks, and fortunately no water main breaks this past month. They also continued with catch basin, manhole, and pumping station maintenance, as well as renewed 4 sanitary laterals in June. Transportation Services crew placed 300 ton of asphalt patching of utility cuts and potholes on various streets within the town to date this year. 100 ton was laid in the month of June. Patching activities will continue through July and August before the department's in-house capital projects. They also repaired 9 areas of concrete infrastructure within the town this year to date. Concrete reinstatement from various utility cuts and maintenance in town will continue throughout the summer. So just as an introduction, the rest of the report are the details provided to council on the services provided by the department and updates on status and progress of projects under each of the 5 areas of service of the Department of Engineering Public Works. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you, Mr. McKinnon. Any questions for Mr. McKinnon? Councillor Graham.
Just a quick one. I'm not really familiar with what kinds of things are considered town right-of-way permits. What types of permits are those? I see that.
Well, that's anything from people working in the right-of-way, whether they're taking a permit to install their services on their street for sewer and water connection to the building. If somebody wants to close a section of sidewalk to put up scaffolding to work on the building,
Okay.
all of those are work within the right-of-way permit. So it's third-party work within our street right-of-way.
Thanks for the clarification.
Councillor Pryor.
Mr. McKinnon, I didn't see Parkdale on that list of paving.
Yeah, no, that is being surveyed this year detailed survey this year to be for next year's construction.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Mr. McKinnon, for Mr. Browning's report, I guess. I expect we'll have lots more questions for him when he takes that seat, especially around the right-of-way permits and other things that we've not seen before in the reports. I did want to ask before I ask, one of the things I wanted to note is around sort of the improved planning, I guess. We mentioned here that Prince Street, sections of Prince from, say, Wood to Aberdeen, I noticed that a lot of the hydrant maintenance and replacement has been done in advance of the road paving, so I just want to congratulate staff and thank them for this better planning and the asset management that we are seeing. But in that sections of Prince Street, sorry, it says Commercial Street to Dominion, Wood Street to Aberdeen. That both makes sense, but it just says then Pleasant Street.
Yeah, and there was a typo there where we didn't say Pleasant Street to Arlington Place. So it was meant to list the other section, the middle section.
Yes. Arlington. Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Director McKinnon, for that very detailed report. The final committee report is our Parks, Recreation, and Culture with Ashley Sims. So, Director Sims, if you could give us your report, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before I get started, I'd like to welcome our summer staff. The department hired 40 youth this summer, so we're excited what they will accomplish over the summer season. And 9 of these positions are supported by the Canada Summer Jobs Program. For my report, staff participated in the Canadian Parks and Recreation Association's Inclusive Green Space Symposium. The event brought together professionals from across Canada to strengthen the national network committed to ensuring equitable access to green spaces for all residents. The symposium also focused on fostering long-term community practice in inclusive park design and accessibility. Seasonal maintenance, cleanup, and sport field preparations are ongoing through our parks, open spaces, and athletic facilities. In collaboration with Downtown Truro Partnership, flower beds and hanging baskets have been installed and planted, adding vibrant colors throughout the downtown core. The Victoria Park Pool and Splash Pad officially opened to the public at the end of June. Weather permitting, the unsupervised splash pad is available daily from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. For detailed information on pool programs and swim times, please visit the town's website. We continue to encourage community members to help monitor our public spaces. Please report any unauthorized camps, tents, or bonfires directly to the department. If there is an emergency, please call 911. As a reminder, all municipal parks, sport fields, and recreational spaces are designated as smoke-free zones. Our annual tree planting initiative is progressing well. With the support of the CN Rail Eco Connections Grant, to date, 100 trees have been planted across Victoria Park, McClure's Mills, Yonge Street, and Park Street. In the prevention against hemlock woolly adelgid, 340 hemlock trees in the lower Victoria Park received basal bark treatment applications. These treatments were applied by Victoria Park and urban forestry staff. The next phase of this project includes tree injections and additional basal bark treatments scheduled for the fall. On June 6, in collaboration with our neighboring recreation departments and Truro Police Service, we hosted the annual bike rodeo. The event saw strong community participation. 6 local youth received new bicycles, and many others were awarded cycling safety gear, including helmets, bells, and bike locks. The Ecology Action Center supported the event by hosting a pop-up bike repair hub, offering free tune-ups and promoting active transportation. The AC is also assisting us in collecting community feedback on preferred locations for new bike racks. These will be installed through an EAC funding. The Town of Truro and the Municipality of Colchester held an annual volunteer awards ceremony on June 11th. This year's provincial volunteer representatives from Truro are Anne Fidds and Samantha Cook-Paul, co-founders of the Millbrook Food Bank. The Truro Pride Society Parade and Family Fun Day was held on June 28th in downtown Truro with a strong turnout and community engagement. And in partnership with the Village of Bible Hill and the Downtown Truro Partnership, Canada Day events began on June 30th this year with a concert in Civic Square, followed by a well-attended fireworks display. Family-friendly activities continued into Canada Day. Drop-in programs remain popular, with the adult basketball and badminton concluding back in mid-June as the school year was ending. Summer drop-in programs, including pickleball and parent-taught sessions, have been relocated to the Colchester Legion Stadium for the summer season. Our student event team has been busy preparing for the upcoming Truro's 150th Summer of Fun events. Stay tuned for our July and August schedule of drop-in activities and pop-up events. Also, please note that our kinder camps are not being offered this summer due to the low registration numbers during our 23-24 season. Throughout June, the Town of Truro recognized and celebrated several important community dates, including National Indigenous History Month, Filipino Heritage Month, Pride Month, National Indigenous Peoples Day, and Pride Week. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you very much. Another slow month for Parks Recreation. Anyway, it was just a wonderful month filled with, there's no reason for anyone to be bored in this town. There's something going on all the time. Just one thing I'm hoping we can continue to investigate, Director Sims, is somehow if we're able to get something at the beach entrance part of the Victoria Park pool, just for somebody with accessibility issues. I know I was contacted by 2 different people that had bought a family pass, and the mother was having a hard time getting in the pool just because there's no railing there. So if we could just continue to see if we can find some way to look around that, to make sure that everybody can enjoy our beautiful Victoria Park pool.
Yeah, definitely. We've called Life Saving Society to see what our options are because we have to look at sight lines as well too. So there's a lot of different things to consider.
Thank you for that. I see some questions. Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Sims, for the report. You mentioned about the EAC, I believe it was providing some additional bike racks. I had some questions from business owners on Inglis Place asking when the bike racks are going in. I guess there's some space taken up already for the installation. They're wondering how long before it goes in.
We haven't selected the locations yet. So we are just collecting that data, and after we receive them, we will get the bike racks, but that's all still work in progress.
Okay, I had understood that some space was already blocked off for that, and that's not the case?
I'll look into it, but I don't think so.
Okay.
Unless it's one that's already been installed in the past.
Okay, I can follow up with the owners as well to see what their concern is in a little bit more detail.
Sure.
But if we can get that installation schedule and the locations as soon as that's available, we'd love to have that. I'm sure the rest of council would also be interested in sharing that with constituents. I wanted to ask a question about the rail yard. There's nothing here in the report, but I've been having a lot of questions from users asking about new trail development, because I know there were plans for new trails, like up at the end of Grassy Road and the top of Wazup, in that area and some others, and people are wondering what is the plan? Do we have a roadmap for new trail creation up there?
Not to date. Right now, we're focusing on maintenance. There's about 75 kilometers of trail, so we want to make sure that we are able to maintain our current trails before we add anything else.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Are there any questions on any of the reports today, Council? Anything further? Seeing none, I would call for a motion to accept all the committee reports. Councillor Fleming, Councillor Graham has seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor? Contrary minded, motion is carried. Moving us on to item number 7, questions by members. Councillor Graham.
I'd like to take the opportunity to thank all of council. Back in May, we unanimously supported a motion that I made that NSFM consider making library funding across the province an advocacy issue to the province. Our council, along with several other councils around the province, passed the same motion. NSFM have responded by sending the request to committee to study that motion and to determine whether or not for sure that it will become an advocacy issue of the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities. So I want to thank everybody for your support on that motion. But I also wanted to explain the importance of that motion. Our library in Truro is the Colchester East Hants Public Library, and as such, we are responsible for satellite offices and libraries in Elmsdale, Mount Uniacke, Stewiacke, Tatamagouche, Middle Stewiacke, and Kennecook. Because the funding formula hasn't been reviewed or increased in the last number of years, we are having to dip into our reserves to simply maintain the current level of services that we provide to our communities. At the rate we're going at this time, our services will be completely our reserves will be completely depleted in 5 years. So the motion is particularly important at this time. But in saying that, our library is in desperate need of a new vehicle. It's $80,000. The purpose of the vehicle is to deliver books, programming, and services to the satellite offices around in our region. As such, we are hosting a 75th gala anniversary, and as part of that gala, we've created a sponsorship package that I would like to bring all of your attention to. If you know of anyone in our community who you think might be interested in getting involved and becoming sponsors to this really great event, please let me know. If you would like a sponsorship package, please let me know. If you'd like to get involved in any way, shape, or form, either by purchasing a ticket to our gala, which is taking place on October 18th, or if you would like to make a donation to the event or to the purchase of the vehicle, please let me know. Thanks, and if you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you very much. Councillor Talbot.
Yes, I don't have a question. I'd like to make just a very high-level report on, as you know, Allison, Councillor Graham, and myself attended the FCM in June. And I'd also like to make a case for broader attendance at that session by council members. It's an excellent knowledge exchange. It's a chance to, put your finger on the pulse of what's going on across the country. And I'm sure Allison and my presence was deeply missed at the last council meeting. But anyway, FCM have established a very strong anti-racism, equity, and inclusion effort. It's called ARI, and they've been actively involved in this since about 2020. And I only bring it up to mention that they do have an online tool that they're encouraging municipal units to take a look at. what I do when I'm at these conferences, if I see things that I think might be of interest, I send the information back to the department heads. And I did send some of this stuff back, but it is online. But it makes a business case for what they're calling ARI, the economic growth, sustainability, social inclusion, and civic engagement. So if people are interested, they can go on the FCM site and take a look at that. Another thing I found very interesting was they have a number of on-site visits, and the one I attended was Waterville Village, and it's an initiative by the federal government to look at land that's available across the country, make that available for housing developments. We took a tour of this one. It's a very integrated type of housing, from $1 million homes down to public housing. And I think that fits very, very neatly with what urban planners are saying now, that, you know, you don't build ghettos, you put everybody together, nobody knows what anyone's paying. So I found that very interesting. The other thing, the last thing I mentioned was the Prime Minister was there, and he made a speech, and there seems to be a strong movement and a strong interest for a much more integrated approach to solving some of the communal problems across the country, and having all three levels of government at the table. As you know, right now, the municipal, we're kind of wards of the province, and we go at their invite. There's a strong movement being led by FCM to make us more of an equal partner. So I'll kind of just leave my comments at that. I have a number of slides, a number of information. If people are interested, they can contact me personally, and I can give them more detail on any of that. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Counselor. And I've heard from several people that were there, and they said it was a wonderful session, including Mayor Blair. And so thank you very much for that detailed report. Yep. Deputy Mayor.
I have a question for Ms. Sims. It has to do with Victoria Park. So I've had a few questions regarding if you go up the main trail up to Victoria Falls along Leopard Brook there. On the other side of the brook, that would be the, I guess, the west side of Leopard Brook. There's a lot of wind damage done to the trees there, but also the infrastructure that's there. And the questions I'm getting is about the infrastructure. Will it ever be replaced, et cetera? I made some comments. I hope they were the right ones. So I want to hear from you. You know, there's a nice gazebo there. There's some nice trails and some, you know, stairs, and you know what was there, and it's not there anymore. And will it ever be replaced, or what's happening?
Someday it will be replaced. We're just kind of working on that plan and exactly how it's going to how we're going to attack it. Obviously, in some of those areas, it's a very difficult, challenging location just based on the valley and the gorge there. So someday, yeah.
Okay, but there's a plan to replace it in
the plan
one form
is,
or another.
Yeah, we're looking at what our options are and how we can achieve it.
There's a lot of damage there, of course, and it was such a beautiful part of the park. It's a tragedy that happened, but you know,
I agree.
Yeah. Thank you for that. My next question has to do with, if you look, and maybe I should have asked it earlier, so this is to Ms. Russell or to Mr. Dolter. It has the Town of Truro Funding Program Overview. And one of the ones is the TAC revitalization in Argus Ball Field. There's the project size and the amount applied for. And I'm just wondering, are those the final figures there? You know, if you take a look at it, you know, yeah, I just was wondering, are those the final figures that it's going to cost us in the end? And because we're getting near to the end of the project, and I'm just wondering, are those final figures, or are those still kind of, you know, things can shift in regards to both amounts applied for donations and project size, et cetera. Would you like to have that, Mr. Dolter?
Yeah, sorry, I'm looking back at the, go ahead, Ms. Russell, if you got a.
I was just going to ask, are you on the capital list?
Yes, I am. The
Yeah.
Town of Truro Funding Program Overview in the capital list, right? We get this report here. I don't know if you're familiar with that report. And it has all the projects, and then it has what the projects cost and the funding.
Is that the one? Oh, okay, that's off Ms. Grant's report. That's what I thought. Okay, just one sec now. Let me go back to that. Thank you for your patience there. You're looking for that the
Yes, the second line down.
second line down, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's the, sorry, that's the initial funding amount, so that would have been that's the initial project size. In fact, the project now is above that.
I know.
It's in more than $11 million range
Yeah,
right now.
Yeah, 11,
So that's accurate for what the original submission and the original planning were.
Right.
And again, the award that we got was just over $6 million,
Right.
which does not include the public portion of the funding that was also raised.
Right.
That's just the federal and provincial amounts.
Right. It would be nice as the project is coming to conclusion, that council could receive a final statement as to what what
Yeah,
the
we are.
final
and-
cost was and what.
Yeah, and we're working through, there's been some recent smaller change orders as we're
Yeah.
working through.
Right.
But we are having a final tally now as both, the Argus Drive is all but finished at this point.
Right.
There's a few minor changes, and then the main athletic field is coming close to completion, which is mid-July. So we'll have we can have a comprehensive report probably together with maybe a few minor changes after that for September, I would say, the
Yeah,
September
that-
meeting.
That would be good. I'm just
Yeah.
interested in what the
Yeah.
whole project costs us in the end and how much, there's some tremendous, and I'll just say this, I'm very appreciative of the people in town that were able to gave to this project.
Yeah, and I
Excellent.
believe at budget time, we did give
Province and
we
the
did
federal
provide an
government.
estimate at that time as well, Deputy Mayor, and that, we haven't gone a great deal off of that estimate. So again, it was, and we identified the shortfall, but we'll put something together, and we may be able to send out a preliminary package to council, then we'll do a presentation.
That would be excellent.
in
Thank you very
September.
much.
Thank you, Deputy. Councillor McGrath?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Dilter, I wanted to follow up on the library pigeons. Not as exciting as the library gala, perhaps, but it's a concern nonetheless. Do we have any update from the province on how to address the pigeon
No.
problem without impacting the swifts?
No, we're still working on that. We have both the facilities coordinator and I believe Mr. McKinnon has been actually delving into the world of pigeons lately as well, trying to get some answers on that, working with DNR. Mr. McKinnon, do you have
I have a little bit, but they're all afraid to give a definitive answer of any sort. Even though we know that these pucks are only visible for inches, they're still afraid to give a definitive answer that, yeah, you can use them even though you're 30 feet away from where the chimney swifts are.
Yeah.
So in the interim, we have put some of the spikes up on some of the main ledges because we've actually been having slips and falls on the walks and the ramps in that area. So they're proven effective so far.
Yeah, so then when we say spikes, it's not for impaling pigeons. It basically makes it difficult for them to land, so they can't roost on the ledges.
Right.
So that's essentially what we put in, which is more the traditional methodology. The pucks that we're talking about actually creates a sensation to the pigeons, which I'm sure they can't attest to, of fire, essentially. So when they get close to them, they get the sensation that it's on fire, and they go away and they don't roost there. And so it's not a poison, it's nothing to kill them, it's to shoo them away. And I know the police chief is scared to death they're gonna go to the police station next. But, so we are looking at that. So we're looking at a couple alternatives. So we're looking to get somebody to sign off on it. We recognize their understanding that it's safe. We just need to convince the authorities that can authorize this that it is safe. And again, until such time, we're using the traditional roosting spikes, and hopefully they continue to work.
I hope they work. I know I've seen pigeons before just standing on those spikes. They might not be able to build nests, but it's certainly it's just another place for them to perch sometimes. Some discussion months ago, we talked about updating council more frequently or at all, I guess, on committee updates. Like, we all sit on several committees. We don't always know what each committee is doing. We had talked about bringing updates. It seems like that got dropped.
Not necessarily dropped. I mean, I won't hand this back to council, but I am looking for the council chairs and that to kind of come forward with their reports. I'll talk to Ms. Rowe. We'll see if we can get a little bit organized on getting some committee reports on that. And again, it's just a matter of contacting the various committees There's a few of them that are not shared by council members, so we'll have to look at that. We do want to get to the point where we're actually putting the minutes of the various meetings on the website, which I think we were looking at doing, but we haven't got that done. But we'll certainly come back to council for the September meeting and talk about what we're doing. And again, we'll talk about coordinating a regular submission of the committees in order for everybody to share that. Is council looking for just the reports themselves, or they want presentations done on that? What's the intent at the end of the day?
I think the report, but in Nicole's notes version, you don't need to beat the dead horse.
Yeah, okay, well, we'll look at trying to, I mean, minutes are probably the shortest form. I don't want to get accused of editing any of the committee reports either, so we'll probably look at circulating, similar to what we're going to be doing now with the petitions and that and letters. They'll be in the council package. Similar, we'll give the reports as part of the council package, and it will be up to any individual council member, if they're reading a report, to ask questions if we can answer them. I know staff members sit on most of the committees, so we probably can't answer most of the questions, so we'll have I'll call it a passive report that will be included in the package.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to add too much work to staff's already busy workload, but even having the minutes of those meetings available and published would be a great first step. Finally, I wanted to ask about scheduling of Committee of the Whole. So this is something we had discussed also months ago, probably even a couple of times, that we often end up with these gaps between Committee of the Whole and the council meeting. Especially this month, we've got Committee of the Whole on July 17th, and our next council meeting is not until September. But we often have, even if we had one in a meeting in August, that's still several weeks before. I don't see anything in the council policies, for Committee of the Whole. The council meeting that we're in today, this has a schedule. It's always the first Monday unless it's a holiday. It's scheduled for 1 p.m. Committee of the Whole doesn't seem to be mentioned anywhere. And I will mention again, or propose again, that it should be scheduled on the Thursday prior to the scheduled council meeting, so that when we have presentations by the community members or anything that we need to vote on, it is fresh in our minds from just the week before.
And again, I will agree, there's probably no written policy. The Committee of the Whole kind of came about, a lot of municipalities in Nova Scotia do them. I think it actually was Councillor Kinsman that back in the day that asked for us to establish Committee of the Wholes, because we didn't actually have them originally. So we put them in place. At that time, verbally, we said it would be the third Thursday of every month. That gives some level of consistency for staff, so they know what they're planning for, and for people that come to us, particularly months in advance, we can let them know. Not that it isn't possible to schedule them. I mean, I like consistency as far as the third Thursday. We know, same thing. Most of our other committees are, TPAC is set on on the first,
Monday.
remind me now, Carla, TPAC is
Monday.
first Monday?
Yeah.
It's the last Monday of the month.
Last Monday of the month. We typically do it like that, just for consistency. Again, it's entirely up to council when they want it. If they want it the Thursday prior to council, it does compact from a staff perspective. We're preparing for 2 meetings at the same time. That is the one challenge, but that's our burden to carry. If council chooses to do it on that Thursday, it is putting things close together, potentially. From a staff perspective, I'll speak
Maybe we
for
could send an email out and just
Yeah.
ask everybody to get back to us before the fall starts, and then we'll go with the consensus of council.
Yeah, consensus of council, like I said, I like third Thursday, that's probably the staff preference, but if council would prefer it. The Committee of the Whole and the public council meeting aren't always related, but you are right, it does give us an opportunity to discuss items that will be coming up in the public meeting. I'm not indifferent, but it's up to council how they want to do it.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to negatively impact staff by shoving too much into a short time frame. But again, when we have things There have been items proposed or discussed, presentations made at committee of the whole that council needs to vote on at the next council meeting. Having the additional time away from that, again, if there was anything like that on the agenda for the 17th and we don't meet again until September, that's a long time to be sitting on those actions. And that's all my questions. Thank you.
Councillor Talbot?
Yes, I want to circle back to the pond at Argus Drive. And to say the community's patience is running thin would be a gross understatement. That open water has been there for a year. There's always been the safety concern in terms of a child slipping in and having an unfortunate outcome. Now we have the issue with the standing water and the breeding ground for insects. And when I tell people we're working on it and we're having problems getting filled, that's not going over very well. So this thing has to be expiated somehow. It's just been ongoing way too long. And I'd like to have some firm dates on when some permanent action is going to be taken on that site.
Yeah, the main, again, as we've discussed, it is taking some time. The one thing that we are going to have to do, if council would like it to be expedited as a priority item, we are going to have to look at the capital plan, because an expedited plan is in, probably in the neighborhood of $500,000 to fill in the pond. So again, we'll have to look at that, and we'd have to make a change to the capital plan. We've been trying to look at other options where we can get the same material, but on as available basis, in conjunction with that, we'd enhance the fencing if it's required in order to deal with that. Again, that's all. I'll have a further discussion. I know Mr. McKinnon has light on there, so we're going to need some direction from council once we can provide an estimate if it's to be expedited. Mr. McKinnon?
We've been working with some different contractors that we know are doing major projects in the area, so that when they have some good fill, we know where we have a spot for them. And one of them is supposed to start a major job in August, so we're really hoping to get the material from them, because it'd be great material to put in the ponds. And I'm not sure when we actually take over the facility that we can be in there to do it, but I'm hoping that'll coincide with that. So right now I don't have a confirmed commitment from that contractor, but that's what we're really hoping for.
And the other thing too, with the volume material, we have to source it. And again, point that I didn't make, but Mr. McKinnon just did, is the fact even if we wanted to at this point, we still don't have possession of this site. It still hasn't been turned over to us, so we couldn't have started now regardless. We recognize the issue. We are working on a plan on how we would deal with that. I'll come back to council once we have a chance to talk further. If we tendered out the work now, it would probably be into August before we could have somebody on site. Again, because we don't know when it was going to be handed over, it's difficult to set an absolute date for getting started. The insect breeding in there, that's something we'll have to take a look at and see if there's something we can deal with that in the short term. I'm reluctant to put anything into the water that would impact insects that would have a negative effect on the water either and have some unintended consequences. We can have a discussion on that to deal with the insect breeding in there if that's short term. But again, we are working on a solution. Again, I'll have further discussions with Mr. McKinnon on it.
Councillor McGrath?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Apologies, I did not have all of my questions asked. There was one other I wanted, and it was related to the committees. Mr. Dolter, we've had some emails back and forth with members of the Farmers Market about reinstating the Farmers Market Advisory Committee. I just wanted to know if we had an update on that, and as well, the Active Transportation Committee that has not met since I have been on council, and I'm not sure how long prior to that, but that was handed over to me both when I took over for Councillor Barnhart and at Mayor Hinton's disposal when she took office, and kept me on that committee, but that committee has not met since long before I was elected. Do we still have that committee? And are we eventually going to meet and set priorities and actually fund active transit?
As for the Farmers Market Committee, yes, we are going to meet. We're still looking at the, looking at the terms terms of reference, there is a few minor changes that have to be done to that. That won't, not only take short time to do, and then we can set a meeting for the farmer's market. Again, I'll talk to staff, and we'll send out an email to see what we can schedule on that. Active transportation, again, I'm gonna have to talk to staff on that to see where we are. The intent would be to have the committee meet when there's something to meet on, so that's the discussion I have with staff to make sure we'd have an agenda for the committee to get together, and have to look at the membership as well. I think we do have a list of who's part of that.
Yeah.
So we'd have to restart the committee.
That's good.
Yeah,
So
'cause
again, but I'll get back to you on both points.
just my concern, especially around the active transit, was that we had Harborside Engineering do the update to Mr. Scott's plan, and that was presented to council, and it completely bypassed that committee. So I wonder, do we need that committee, or like, is it just being, is it done now? Or do we actually have anything to do?
I think, I guess my answer to that would be, it's not done, but I think it would be more consistent on when we have established a capital budget to start doing work, to sit down with the committee to go through that prior to going into that. So other than the Willow Street project right now with the sidewalk we got going out, we don't have another active transportation project underway this year. So again, I think we probably should meet prior to going into budget next year with the committee, and then again, we'll have to look at working with engineering and public works on what the plans are for enacting any of the AT recommendations from the Harborside plan. So I guess the answer is yes, there's a need for the committee, but I think it is as we're moving forward with the capital works to do those projects.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Dalton.
thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Talbot.
Yeah, respectfully, I'm not satisfied with the answer I received on the pond. I cannot continually go back to the community with non-answers. People are telling me if this pond bordered on Smith Avenue, it would have been filled in last year. The people are starting to see it as a racist issue, that the town doesn't care about the black community. And when I have to go back to them saying, well, we can't get filled, or fill's too expensive, it's gonna cost too much, people are not satisfied. I need to be able to go back with an answer that this is gonna take 2 months, it's gonna take a month, this is when we're gonna do it. And I can't accept the money issue. If it's gonna cost a lot of money, that's unfortunate, but it has to be done. And I'm totally dissatisfied with the answer I received.
Okay, Mr. Dalton.
Councilor Talbot, the problem is I don't have authority right now to divert capital money into this project. The community's brought this forward. We've been looking at a solution as we talked about at budget time. I can ask staff to put together a plan, and then we'll ask council to, we'll have to look at the capital projects that we cancel for this year. As we know, capital budget's fully committed. We're trying to find a solution that is not going to, run in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that's simply because, again, we don't want to, change other projects. We'll look at other ways to ensure this is safe. It certainly is not a racist issue. It's just racism. It's simply the fact that we have land that we cannot go on without violating the agreement we have with the contractor. Can't start it before now. And we need to be able to put in place a plan that is workable, that we can fund. And again, I've made the commitment that I'm going to talk to Public Works on that, and we'll come forward with some options for council to approve, and recommendations on, if we're going to expedite it, what that's going to cost. That's all I can, all I can commit to. Yeah, and that's all. That's essentially what I said before. Is I'm going to talk to Public Works and come back with some options. Right? We are talking to a contractor now, which could provide a major part of the solution, and then maybe we only have to augment that. But we are making it a priority. We are certainly not ignoring it.
Councillor Graham. Oops, I'm sorry. Yeah. Councillor
Did you have
Talbot,
more to add,
are you done,
Councillor
Councillor Talbot? Did you want to further comment, or?
No, I just said it's been a year. It's been a long time.
put your mic on.
Was an engineering mistake, was a hole that never should have been dug?
Yeah, okay. Counselor Grant?
We're not due to meet again until September. I wonder if at this time we should schedule a special meeting in August to address this issue so that the community isn't waiting 2 more months, that at least we can get back to them with a decision. I don't know, Councillor Talbot, like a month from today, would that be an acceptable time to come back?
I can't guarantee you I can give you an answer a month from today, or I could, maybe it'd be 2 weeks from today. We can schedule a special meeting with 3 days' notice. So once we have information to bring back to council, we'll ask for council to sit for a special meeting if we need a decision.
So can we set a goal for that to happen in August? Like, I don't think we want to continue to delay on this issue.
I think what he's saying is that he can't give you that information now, but once he does, we only need 3 days' notice to set a special meeting. So that's not an issue, so that would be quick, that would happen quickly, once he can find out the information he has to find out from the contractor.
Is that satisfactory, Councillor Talbot?
The dissatisfaction is not mine. The dissatisfaction is the community. I'm simply bringing
That's right.
forward the concern. And like I say, I didn't mean to get too agitated, but I can't keep going back to the community saying, we don't know.
Yeah.
Like we can't get fill. Well, why can't you get fill? There's fill everywhere. I mean, I'm going back and I'm taking quite a beating.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be clear, what I think the direction is, we're filling in the 1 pond, not 3 ponds. So it's the one that is immediately behind Westburn Street. The other 2, from a staff perspective, would remain in place, so. But I mean, like I said, that's what we're focused on dealing with right now, and the process is required in order to drain 1 to ensure the water, water is properly transferred and goes back into the river system.
Are the other 2 ponds standing ponds as well?
Well, they're both, I mean, basically the water rises and falls so it's not stagnant water because it does move in and out of the pond, like it will drain, evaporate, then the water levels will come back up. I mean, the water does, it's not necessarily stagnant water, it does move, right? But I'm not saying it moves swiftly, but they are, we are looking at still options of using, converting the ponds in partnership with Ducks Unlimited. We're looking at some options there as well too, so that they are living ponds that have, growth in them, so that they're, no different than any other water that's close by in that area and around the golf course and that as well, right? Similar to that.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll leave it at that for today.
Thank you, Counselor. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I would just like us council to consider, and I like the town to consider, that project is not complete until the pond is finished as well. Because we're kind of talking about, the Argus ball field is just about complete. And I'd like this to be part of that. I know it's not part of the contract as far as building a field, but I believe our attitude has to be that the project isn't complete until this is also solved, because it's part of the project.
Yeah, understood.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to mention a couple things. I brought everybody back the little bracelet on. It says Civility Matters from the Mayor's Conference I had in St. John. It was a wonderful conference, I must say. 3 to 4 days, lovely. Mayors from New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, PEI, Newfoundland. We all share similar concerns and issues. It was very good, positive energy, a lot of frustration, which you can appreciate. And one of the reasons for these bracelets was they had a gentleman there speaking who was from the States, and about what was going on across the border. And it was an eye-opener for a lot of us. So words matter, and the way we handle our words and our civility, and that's something sometimes we're not seeing with our friends across the pond. So I just brought those back for everyone. I just wanted to also thank everyone who worked so hard to make the Pride Parade a success, our staff members, and the events that followed at Civic Square. It was very humbling for me. The messages and calls I received, I can't even begin to count. People were very appreciative of the mayor being in the parade, the mayor raising the flag, and all the support that council gives the community. So hats off to all of you. I think it was a beautiful, beautiful time the community coming together. Also, our Canada Day events were fantastic and big crowds. The malaria drummers were terrific. Really enjoyed that, and of course, thanks to everybody from Downtown Truro Partnership to our own Megan Burgess. And I want to thank Amanda Bent with the staff on the town for creating new signs for the car in the Canada Day Parade, which was great. I also just want to say that I reached out to my CN contact and heard back this morning. This is about the Cross Street Overhead Bridge. The engineer is working to determine the implications of NSPW's requirements for that bridge that were provided to them. This involves work from the engineer in between the days he's in the field during his busy construction period, and some scoping and analysis works by consultants that CN's hired for the project. After they've had a chance to work through the details with the engineers, counterparts, and the provincial government, will be having a meeting. So that bridge cannot be built fast enough. And finally, I just wanted to say that we had a meeting last week for physician recruitment with the Truro Colchester Partnership for Economic Prosperity. There's 7 new residents based in Colchester County, 4 in Truro, 1 in Tatamagouche, 1 in Bible Hill, and 1 in Millbrook. They're here for the next 2 years, and really hoping that after this period for them is over, that they'll remain in our area. Okay, now we're going to move on to item 8, which is new business, a request for decision to appoint the traffic authority. Mr. Dolter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So with the pending retirement of the Town Traffic Authority, Town Council is required to appoint a new traffic authority. Appointment of the Town Traffic Authority by Truro Council is actually a requirement of the Motor Vehicle Act. And as required under subsection 7(6), subpara 6 of the Nova Scotia Vehicle Act, the council of the town shall appoint the town manager, the police chief, or some other official of the town to be the traffic authority for the town. As per section 86(8), such appointment shall forthwith be sent to the provincial traffic authority by way of copy of this resolution. As per subsection 86(12), subject to subsection 86(13), the traffic authority for the town shall have respect to all highways, meaning all streets and roads within the town, all powers conferred upon the traffic authority by the Nova Scotia Vehicle Act. Whereas Jared Bent, PNG, the operations engineer for the town of Truro, has been understudying the current traffic authority and has been training and becoming familiar with the roles and responsibility of the local traffic authority. And whereas the town manager, or the CAO, as the CAO and the chief of police appreciate the complexities of traffic engineering knowledge required to fill this role of traffic authority, it is recommended that Mr. Bent be appointed as the traffic authority for the town of Truro. So, Madam Mayor, that leads to the most logical proposed motion that be it resolved that the town of Truro Council appoint Jared Bent, PNG, traffic authority for the town of Truro.
Thank you, Mr. Dolter. I'm going to need a motion on that. Councillor Graham, your light's on.
I have a question. But I guess we need the
Yeah,
motion
we do.
first.
Councillor Fleming, Councillor McGrath, Councillor Graham.
Is the responsibility of traffic impact studies under the traffic engineer?
No, typically traffic impact studies would be done by an independent traffic engineer for a contractor. So those reports are reviewed by the traffic authority, but they're not the responsibility of the traffic authority.
So Mr. Bent will be responsible for, because it's a
Yeah.
big topic of conversation at our PAC meetings and around this council table often. So
Yeah, so Mr. Bent would, as a traffic authority, likely sit, on the PAC
Yeah, that
as
was
well.
the next question.
And so he would be, and so he would sit and listen and look at the concerns over traffic or traffic management.
Thank you.
Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Dolter, you said the traffic authority would sit at PAC. We currently have Mr. McKinnon, who is both Director of Public Works and the traffic authority. Would those separate positions both sit at PAC or just one?
No, not likely, and again, we'll talk to the new director on whether or not he wants to sit through the PACs. We're lucky to have Mr. McKinnon there as both the Director of Public Works and the Traffic Authority. Again, Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Second now. I'm gonna dry bottle here.
While you're trying to catch your breath, I'd just like to remind council, for 20 years, I was traffic authority and worked in engineering department and never attended planning advisory committee meetings. They would just come to me in between meetings with recommendations. So I've only been going to the meetings for the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, okay, there we go. So, I mean, again, we'll determine whether or not I'll have that discussion with Mr. Browning on who we would like to attend. If the traffic authority doesn't attend the meeting, it's not a major issue because he would review all the documentation and the planning, all the planning documentation. So it wouldn't be an issue either way.
Thank you,
Okay,
Mr.
thank you.
Excuse me.
Okay, so the motion has been made and seconded. We've had our discussion. All in favor of appointing Jared Bent as the new traffic authority, please say aye. Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Congratulations, Mr. Bent. Item 8B, a request for decision, investigator appointment, code of conduct for elected officials of the town of Truro policy. Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Sorry, I'm going to choke up here now. As per the complaint and investigation process of the Code of Conduct for elected officials, the town of Truro, the town of Truro policy, which was adopted by council on the December 2nd, 2024 council meeting, the town of Truro is required to appoint a person or entity other than a council member or an employee of the municipality to receive and investigate complaints that an elected official, either the mayor or councillor, has violated the code of conduct. I won't pop that now, thanks. This person or entity appointed must have the experience in conducting investigations and in applying the principles of natural law and procedural fairness. No conflict of interest can exist between the investigator and the parties involved. Once appointed, the municipalities must include the investigator's contact information on their publicly accessible website. A list of pre-qualified investigators was provided to municipalities by the Association of Municipal Administrators for further review and selection. The town of Truro reached out to 4 pre-qualified investigators and received proposals from 3. Staff reviewed the 3 proposals, which are attached to council's package, received and recommended that the town council appoint Noella Martin of Birchall Wickware Bryson and Jonathan C. Cumming of Taylor McLennan Cochrane as the town's investigators under the town's code of conduct for elected municipal officials policy. Appointing 2 investigators, an approach some of the municipalities have taken and helps to avoid any delays due to capacity or timing issues. Again, the recommendations of looking at the 4 individuals did come from Mr. Thompson as well too, as again, we just wanted him to provide some recommendations. So again, that's why we started with the 4. So the proposed motion, Madam Mayor, is be it resolved that Town Council appoint both Noella Martin of Birchall Wickware Bryson and Jonathan C. Cumming of Taylor McLennan Cochrane as the town's investigators under the town's code of conduct for elected municipal officials policy.
Thank you, Mr. Dolter. The motion has been made. I'm calling for a motion, excuse me, I'm getting tired. Calling for a motion. Who would make that motion? Councillor McGrath, seconded. Deputy Mayor, any discussion? All those in favor of approving the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Thank you very much.
So as indicated, Madam Mayor, just to clarify too, so these 2 names will now appear on the town's website. So as council is aware, a complaint can come from any member of the public, would go to one of the investigators, and then the town would be informed that a complaint has been put forward. So again, we may not know a complaint has been raised until one of the investigators come back to us. So that's the way the process is supposed to work.
Thank you.
Or the complaint may as well come through us, and then we would contact one of the investigators as well. So again, we'll see how the process evolves.
Thank you very much. Now, before we conclude today's agenda, we'd be remiss without acknowledging the retirement of our Director of Public Works, Andrew McKinnon. This will be like nails in his back. He doesn't like this public, but we have to say something, Andrew, because he has been with the town for since I believe May 1981. Andrew has a long list of credentials: Association of Professional Engineers of Nova Scotia, Municipal Public Works Association of Nova Scotia, Association of Municipal Administrators of Nova Scotia, Canadian Water and Wastewater Association, Atlantic Canada Works Association, Transportation Association of Canada, Nova Scotia Temporary Workplace Traffic Committee, Control Committee, and the list goes on. Andrew began his epic journey with the town as a humble summer student in engineering. After graduating, he was knighted while hired into a permanent position as a surveyor assistant engineer. It's rumored he could survey a plot of land like Superman, faster than a speeding bullet. Despite spotty records from those ancient times, one thing is clear: Andrew has been around longer than the office coffee machine. In 2007, he ascended to the mighty throne of Director of Public Works, providing municipal leadership and effective program development for a leadership team, managers, a large staff of employees, collaborating with directors, our town CIO, our town council, and as the rest, they say, is history. Nearly 44 years later, as he started with a student. And now retirement comes upon him, and we celebrate his incredible career and the countless achievements he has done in shaping our town. His presence, knowledge, and his impish grin will be missed, by his legacy will continue to inspire us. I've worked with Mr. McKinnon since 2016, and I can honestly say I will never hear the word water management and not think of you. I sincerely wish you every happiness in your well-earned retirement. I have this little trinket that I found. It says, "A truly great team is hard to find, difficult to part with, and impossible to forget." And I think you have had a great team. And I'm going to leave these words with you, Mr. Dolter.
Yeah, so again, I'm speaking here under threat of from Andrew of saying too much. Again, he doesn't like accolades, and but I told him to suck it up. So again, he's been with us for 44 years now. Probably, I think, one of the few people that I know of that's had a career with the same employer for his entire working life, which is probably unheard of today. But anybody that knows Andrew knows that he knows everybody, and everybody knows him pretty well. He's got a relationship with almost everybody in town, or can tell you a story about anybody in town, which I often appreciate. But from a professional perspective, I've met a lot of people in my career, but don't think I've met anybody who's more committed and dedicated and really principled than Andrew, because again, he's a very principled guy, and which is important in a director of public works for sure. He has an intimate understanding of the town. He knows where pretty well every valve and every pipe is, and sometimes there's things that aren't in the drawings, but he can find them. Anybody that knows him knows he has a distinct love of paper. So there's probably, the building will be far less stressed on the one side when all the paper does come out of his office. But it is pretty funny. There's publications that go back a long way that are piled on some of the desks and tables in there. But again, he seems to be able to find something all the time, no matter where he's looking for it. He can always put his hand on it. And again, Andrew and I become, since the 10 years I've been here, we've become really fairly good friends, or good friends, fairly good friends. He has a distinct love of sports, as long as it involves the Islanders or the Expos / now the Nationals. Other than that, he doesn't really want to talk about any other teams, but he certainly is dedicated to those, and he's still mourning the loss of John Tavares. But hey, I don't know if I'm happy the Leafs got him or not. So he's had a tremendous positive impact on the town. Some of the list of projects that he's helped guide are too many to name, but certainly he's made his mark on the town. He's a steadying force within senior staff, and again, when Andrew brings something up, we all kind of listen. And he's got a great sense of humor as well, too, and we do laugh about a lot of things. Certainly, Andrew, you're going to be missed. Certainly appreciate your sagely advice, and one of the things I learned early in my career, when you got somebody that's been here as long as you have, you usually know what you're talking about, and certainly I've relied on that throughout. And I know, speaking for the other members of senior staff, you are going to be missed. I'm still questioning whether or not you're going to be busy enough in your off time. So who knows? Phone may ring every now and then, and we'll be looking for some guidance, or at least you to tell us where something is that we can't find. But again, hats off to you. You've had a great career. We've certainly appreciated all the work you've done. I know the residents of Truro have done the same, and we'll certainly still have some laughs going forward, but certainly enjoy your last month. And unfortunately, I'm here today. You're gonna take my chair today, which I think you were happy when you found out it wasn't going to happen. But certainly can't say enough about the time you spent for the town and all the appreciation we have for all the work you've done. So thanks a lot.
Council, stand with me and acknowledge Mr. McKinnon. Andrew, did you want to say anything, or?
Well, just thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Mike. It was an honor to serve the town.
Yeah. You'll be missed. Well, council, this now brings us to the end of our public council agenda today. I want to thank all council staff, our CAO, our solicitor, those present in the council chambers, and those watching on Eastlink or on the internet. There is no public council meeting in August, so our next public council meeting is going to be on Monday, September the 8th at 1. I'd ask you to continue to be kind to each other and to our town. The July 7th, 2025 Truro Town Council meeting is adjourned at 3:59 p.m. And I want to thank everyone and congratulations, Mr. McKinnon, on a wonderful retirement. You will be missed. Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned.